It's Tuesday, it's live, it's SCW Live here on YouTube, the Wrestling Q&A, and I'm joined by a good friend today, NXSteve in the house. Steve, how are you doing?
Very good, mate. Thank you for having me on once again. Twice in 1 week, I feel privileged.
It's great to have you back, and yeah, lots going on in the wrestling world, and I thought it was a good excuse to do a good old-fashioned Q&A. We've got a few questions come flying in already. There's a few topics I would like to talk about as well, so I'll probably start off the video by doing that at the beginning, and then obviously see if we get a few questions in, and then we can dive into that, and we just literally get straight into it and get through everyone as we go along with whatever topics they wish to discuss wrestling related. But for those watching for the first time, please like the video, share the video as well, subscribe also. All that stuff really does help the channel in the algorithms. Of course, watch time is key to help SCW get monetization by WrestleMania season. So definitely would like to get that milestone. But just before we start then, let's talk about Edge, because Edge's promo on Raw for me was particularly one of my favorite parts of the show, mainly because I love the teasers. There was teasers throughout more or less the entirety of Raw about one Cody Rhodes. In fact, it was done with The Miz using the dashing and fighting family as well. Edge did the same thing. There was no smoke and mirrors. Of course, that was his theme song in WWE. But of course, what I've gone with the thumbnail there, he said he wanted a phenomenal opponent at WrestleMania. And for me, it just makes me think, are we finally going to get the dream match that we've all wanted for so long? Edge versus AJ Styles.
He's a very clever man, because if you look at his whole speech that he come out with, he actually name drops 4 people. You got the likes. He says the word demon for Finn. He mentions something to do with Damian Priest. He obviously mentioned something to do with Cody Rhodes, and there is a 4th one, but for the life of me can't remember it. But yeah, as soon as he said phenomenal, the crowd just starts going mad for it, man. It was fantastic, and like I said, hopefully next week we get this story. And with the rumors that have come out about AJ today, man, I'm excited for WrestleMania now. This is one of the must-see matches of the that weekend.
Absolutely, yeah. Like we say, we've had it seems that quite a few matches are sort of taking shape after Raw already, which for me made a really good start to Raw on the road to WrestleMania, because I thought myself, damn, I'm caring about a lot very, very quickly, which is really nice to see. And obviously, Edge versus AJ Styles just feels like a massive deal if it was to happen. Like you say, others have been speculated as well. Could you see a potential Cody in there? I mean, they tease him in a different number of segments, and obviously the rumors have suggested Seth Rollins would be the favorite.
If it makes sense story-wise, I'm all for it. But I think, personally, from my experience, I'd want to see AJ take on Edge. I think it's a dream match that I thought I would never see happen. AJ, who since 2016 he joined WWE. He come off of leaving New Japan as one of the best wrestlers in the world. He's been a 3-time champion now in WWE. Edge coming back in 2019, 2020, I believe it was, the Rumble. It's just one of them matches. It's the same with Finn and AJ that we've only ever seen once on WWE TV. It's a dream match that has to happen. It has to be a one-on-one for me with these two.
Absolutely, I 100% agree. I wouldn't want to see anything else other than these two fight off at WrestleMania. It's good you mentioned about AJ Styles and all of his sort of background as well. AJ Styles, big breaking news as well, just before we get into the chat, has re-signed with WWE a multi-year deal. Now, Fightful was the one that broke this news. Couldn't specify the length of the contract, but could say that AJ can be earning a cool $3 million. I mean, that's quite a good payday, isn't it? To say very
minimum,
minimum, which is fantastic. And obviously, it's expected that, of course, he will repay the company in a handsome fee of that back as well. So, I mean, AJ Styles will be staying in WWE, which means hopefully maybe we get another title run with AJ at some point.
Oh, hopefully, man. I'd love to see it again. It opens up the prospect of so much more now over the next 3 years. Hopefully, AJ can knock off a few more things on his bucket list, maybe win a Rumble, win a Money in the Bank, something like that. But that's what I'm guessing is 3 years, because that seems to be the norm for contract lengths at the minute. So that's how long I think it's possibly going to be for. So yes, hopefully he can just knock some of them things off.
I would love to see it, certainly. AJ is my all-time favorite right now that's going in WWE. And actually, I say all-time, he's my current favorite, but one of my all-time favorites. I personally would love to see anything involved with AJ Styles in a big deal. And we mentioned it when it started this video, Edge is a big dream match that I definitely would like to see. There was even discussion at one point, an idea of him versus Shawn Michaels. Now, Shawn Michaels always said he wouldn't come back, came back for Crown Jewel in 2018, didn't quite go to plan that match with the Brothers of Destruction and DX. If Shawn was to accept it to do one more time, surely AJ would be the one.
Look, Taker turned around and said that AJ was the one he wanted to have his final match with, and there's good reason behind why a lot of people would want to have AJ as their last match. Shawn Michaels coming back and having a match with AJ Styles. Man, that's a killer there. That's gonna take the house down. That's gonna be absolutely fantastic if it was to happen.
Absolutely, indeed. Well, I'll tell you what, let's get into the chat because there's a number of people already flying with us. We've got Jones that's thrown in a load of questions early. Can't watch it live with us, but thank you, Jones, for your questions. We will go through all of them through the stream at some stage, but obviously we'll keep up with the chat of what we've got going on as well. KXI is in house. Thank you very much, saying, hey, Steve. To the Steves, I'm guessing that is for both of us there. Hope you're doing well, KXI. And also Ben in house also. Jeff Samuel also here with us. He says, how do you feel about Drake Maverick is back and how do you feel about it? Obviously, Drake Maverick, the news story, it's broke today on multiple different websites. Apparently, he's been rehired by WWE. I saw this on Wrestle Talk. Now, it's not going to be on an in-ring capacity. In fact, he's going to be a part of the creative team, it seems, on, I believe it's the Raw side. Correct me if I'm wrong there, anyone in the chat or Steve, if you know. But apparently, he's actually started that creative process before the 90 days were expired. So, effectively, it could almost be like he never really left the payday from WWE this time.
I think this is a great sign for WWE because if you look at his input, I presume he would have had input in the 24/7 scene when he was doing that whole thing with R-Truth. He is a very creative guy, and being in WWE is always, like you can see from the interviews he's done before, was always like a lifelong dream for him. So I reckon he has something to add to the product. I mean, like I said, his stuff as 24/7 champion is comedy gold, and I feel like that's where he can flourish. So if he can add something to that division and eventually sort of work himself up, maybe into start getting into more of the mid-card scenes with producing and stuff like that, the sky's the limit for him.
Absolutely, indeed, yeah. I mean, for me personally, I think Drake, he's always been, I've always enjoyed his work wherever he's been, whether it's been Impact Wrestling, whether I've watched him as the GM of 205 Live. You know, he's always done some great stuff. He's a great character and he understands that aspect of wrestling, and hopefully he can transition that. Like you said, 24/7 stuff, some of it's been golden, some of it's been god awful, but some of it has been brilliant. I even didn't overly mind what I saw on Raw this past week with Dana Brooke and Reggie stuff. I think it's been quite entertaining the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I was thoroughly entertained by Raw this week. I was shocked because for some unbeknownst reason to me, I decided to start and watch it last night, and I'm glad I did because I enjoyed it from minute 1 to minute end. I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was a solid show. Can't say they had the same dedication as you, Steve, but honestly, it was great stuff indeed. Just quickly mentioning Raw, let's get Jonesy's first question up for us. Then he said, Raw after WrestleMania, which stars do you see being called up from NXT 2.0?
Yeah, it's the same names we're going to repeat off, really. I mean, you got your likes of your Io Shirai. Ciampa obviously being featured on Raw this week may possibly be look to moving him up as well. I mean, I know there was a thing a couple of weeks ago about his appearance, and that you can see like on Raw last night that he's probably dyed his beard now, which is something Vince had an issue with. So yeah, Ciampa could be one coming up. I'd like to see someone like Cameron Grimes come up because I think his character work is fantastic, and I think he'd be well suited to the main roster. And then, like I said, a couple of the tag teams, Grizzled Young Veterans, I think they're wasted away on NXT, and I'd like to see them move up as well.
Yeah, we actually discussed about Grizzled Young Veterans on the Elimination Chamber predictions video, how we thought they'd be great for the tag team division. For me personally, I think LA Knight is definitely going to be making that call up. I think Raw or SmackDown after Mania. I can definitely see him being there. Probably the Raw brand will probably be the place for him. And I do think Raquel Gonzalez is one I would say to keep a close eye on because she's done it all in NXT at this point. I don't feel there's much more she could do really left for her to do. It feels like perhaps, you know, wrap up this stuff with Cora Jade and see where we go from there. But Tommaso Ciampa is a great shout as well then that you mentioned. Let's move on then and talk about more Tommaso Ciampa. If you're a Tommaso Ciampa fan, you're going to love this portion of the video. Randy Sam is in house. Randy, thank you for your questions. How do you feel about Finn Balor and the Ciampa duo? And will you like to see them face Alpha Academy for Mania for the tag belts? Well, Steve, actually, we spoke about this earlier on today about Balor and Ciampa, and you had a bit of a theory behind it. I'd like to get your take on that first.
Yeah, it was because I thought it was kind of strange that you would have Finn be Ciampa's tag team partner, and then he comes out later on the night to accept Priest's US Invitational. And I sat there and thought that maybe it was done as a ploy to get a fan reaction to see if he's still hot with the crowd. Everyone loves Finn Balor. Everyone's going to go crazy for him. So obviously when they team him up with Ciampa, they get the win as well in the tag team match, which is great. Then it just made sense. Like you see how the crowd feel about him. You calling him out for this Priest Invitational. I think it was a see how the crowd react to him, and the crowd reacts great, like they do every time Finn Balor comes out.
Absolutely, I totally agree with that 100%. I think it's great analysis when you brought up to me earlier on today. Now, going on to that question there, what do you think about this as a duo? Do you think there's actually legs in this? Two NXT guys, maybe, like you said, maybe they don't have big plans for Finn Balor if he doesn't win the United States Championship. Maybe a duo with Ciampa could be a way forward.
To be fair, if it's anything like the match that they just had on Monday, man, this is an exciting tag team. I would love to see this go full time and see these two team up. I know that Ciampa's never been a fan of the main roster schedule and the traveling and stuff. His size as well. Like you look at him in NXT, and he's quite a big guy in NXT. But you put him on the main roster, he's not really that big compared to a lot of the big guys on the show. Even compared to Miz when he had that match against Miz from the all the NXT invasion stuff. He's not that much bigger than a lot of the main roster guys. I think if you put him in a tag team with Finn, these two, like he could flourish, and also Finn can start building back up in Vince's good books. So Vince can get him out of doing nothing, can get him doing something.
And that's the big key. In tag team wrestling, someone has been the key for that for a lot of superstars. You've seen Cesaro's done it multiple times over the years. Where he's been in tag teams, and he gets his single push and rub off the back of it. So maybe this is what they do with these two, and it'd be great. And like you say, if we can get Ciampa in and involved there permanently on Raw, and then the team with Finn Balor could be quite exciting. I would not mind seeing that tag team match at WrestleMania, especially anything Alpha Academy. If Alpha Academy are on WrestleMania right now, I'll be very happy because Chad Gable's doing some of the best work. He's having a right resurgence recently in his career. And I'm enjoying Otis as well. Otis is almost like the Scott Norton of today. I'm really enjoying his work.
Yeah, to be fair, I've loved Otis since like the first day he debuted and he interrupted Alexa Bliss's segment. I was dying with laughter with his first segment, and it was a shame that Heavy Machinery never at least won a tag team championship, but he went on to win Money in the Bank. I know controversially, he's been involved. Now he's actually a tag team champion. He's still doing great character work. He's got Chad Gable essentially out of the locker room and doing some of his, like you just said, some of his best character work, and they're really entertaining at the minute.
They really, really are. Absolutely fantastic. Randy Sam goes on for another question for us. He says, if I were WWE, I will swerve the fans and then Vince give Christian a call, and then Edge cuts a promo on Raw, and then Christian comes out the pop lol. This should have been, if Christian was good to go, this would have been surely the match for WrestleMania 27, in my opinion. Christian should have won the Royal Rumble back in 2011 instead of Alberto Del Rio. That would have been the match for them at that time. But, I mean, obviously, they had the Royal Rumble last year where these two were in the same ring at the same time, had the hug as well when we didn't think we'd see Christian again, didn't think we'd see Edge again. Obviously, this is probably not going to happen at this particular point. Christian is very well settled, it seems, in AEW at this point. But certainly, it would be a dream match if we could see it at some point, someday at this point.
Yeah, I think the only thing that worries me is I think Christian's turnaround says that his AEW contract is his last professional contract. So maybe I don't know whether WWE bring him in on a Legends contract, like something like Goldberg wise, and we might get maybe Edge's last matches against Christian. I don't know. I'd probably not, because they always like to have the Legend put over one of the younger talent. But I would love to see it. Like you just said, Christian should have won the Rumble that year. They should have had their match at Mania. It would have been great, but unfortunately, we just never got it.
No, sadly not indeed there. Let's go to another question from Jason Mike there, who says, how do you feel about the rumours about the potential that we get AJ Styles versus HBK at Mania for the final run of HBK? How do you feel about and also a build for a UK pay-per-view, and what matches do you want to see? Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I mean, we've already sort of touched on the idea that we'd love to see AJ Styles versus HBK at WrestleMania if there was a run for it. But I think if you had to choose one, HBK versus AJ Styles or Edge versus AJ Styles, which one would you want to see for this year's WrestleMania?
I would want to see Edge, just because I'm really taking in everything that Edge is doing, because we effectively shouldn't have this Edge run. We're very lucky to have got his comeback. We're very lucky to have got all his matches that he's had since his comeback. HBK has been retired for a long time, and that's through his own choice. I know we had obviously the Saudi Arabia, like you brought up, but I'm essentially cherishing everything Edge does at the minute. And like you said, AJ is one of the best wrestlers. He's one of a lot of people's favorites, and I'd rather see him versus Edge.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm going to be completely honest and say that I totally agree. And the reason for it, I know HBK is from Texas. It feels like it would be the natural place to do one more match like that if you were going to do it. And obviously right now it feels like loads of ideas are just on the table right now. But Edge versus AJ Styles is just a dream match I want to see. And for me, I don't know if I want to wait much longer for it.
Yeah, I mean, if I was going to have a HBK match, I personally would have wanted to have seen HBK versus Adam Cole, because I think those two would have had a lot more of a chemistry and more of a story to tell. If Adam Cole had stayed, I would love to have seen HBK put Adam Cole over if he had ever come up to the main roster.
Would have been interesting, that one. What about Shawn Michaels against Finn Balor? We've already mentioned him in the video.
AJ versus Finn Balor or Shawn Michaels versus Finn Balor?
Sorry,
AJ versus Finn Balor.
I was actually meaning Shawn Michaels. Apologies if I said
That's right.
over there.
Shawn Michaels versus Finn Balor. Yeah, I suppose so, because obviously they still have this whole NXT history with them. I suppose, yeah, like I said, my only worry is if Shawn can still go. Like, we obviously know what Shawn has done, like, recently. All right, circumstances aside, his opponents and everything and all that kind of stuff. But hey, if you want to give it to me, I'll take it. I'll quite happily take it. I just hope that it doesn't go along the lines of that HBK ends up embarrassing himself because he can't compete to the level that Finn can. That's the only thing I'd worry about.
Absolutely, yeah, I would totally agree with that. And going with this UK pay-per-view, of course, it's rumoured for September. What are your thoughts? Obviously, it'd be very exciting for the UK to get a pay-per-view. Would it be something you'd be interested in going to? And what matches would you want to see on it?
Hopefully, they can get SummerSlam and we can get, I don't know, an anniversary. Well, I can't remember when. Was it 92, wasn't it? The one over in London?
Was 92.
So this will be, the 30-year anniversary. So that's what I'm kind of going with. And if it happens, I will definitely be getting tickets, because it's one that I'm not blessed with the opportunities to go to the States as much as I'd love to go to a Rumble or a Mania. If you're going to bring SummerSlam to me, then I'll quite happily go to it. I've been to the tours before, but it's a tour, so it's not, they don't do as many exciting things on the tours as what you would get at a SummerSlam, which is you're gonna get title changes at SummerSlam. You're gonna get mystery like appearances and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, 100% bring it over here, and I'll definitely be going.
The only thing I can say, unfortunately, today is that Nashville has already been given as the location for SummerSlam, which is going to actually be at the very end of July, believe it or not. First time in a long time we're going to get SummerSlam in July rather than August. Yeah, so I don't know what the name of the pay-per-view we're going to get. Probably get like a Capital Carnage revisited or something like that. But maybe the Extreme Rules, something like that. Hell in a Cell. Who knows? We might be blessed to one of those pay-per-views. But hopefully, if WWE is going all that way to bring over to the UK, hopefully they will still give all that same razzmatazz, if you want. They want to give us that special pay-per-view, that special feeling. I always have this feeling that probably Tyson Fury is going to be brought in for it if we're going to get it. But for me, if you're going to ask a match that I would want to see, I'd want to see Drew McIntyre against Roman Reigns, just because I think that's sort of, one of those sort of fit matches. I'd want pretty much a lot of the British and Irish wrestlers to get big matches and big roles on the show. Sheamus, Finn Balor.
Want to see some of the UK stars like Jordan Devlin and stuff, like even if they have a battle royal or something in the kickoff show or whatever. Just get some of these people on here, man. These homegrown fan favorites.
I also want to see, and we spoke about call-ups earlier on. How about Gunther with Imperium coming in on this show, maybe at this point, and getting a match involved on there? Maybe we could get Gunther versus Cesaro, which was on the last UK tour, which of course wasn't televised. Thanks WWE for that. Maybe they could give us a televised version.
Yeah, that's. I mean, the only problem is every time he comes out, everyone's just going to chant water. That's the only problem I have with that. But yeah, I can imagine their matches were amazing. Like I said, if they should have televised that, I can't believe they didn't.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. Let's move on so we can try and keep up to date with the chat already, because it's going a flurry of questions already. Jamie Holmes in house, thank you for checking this out. Jamie says, if we get more main roster NXT feuds like AJ Styles, Grayson Waller, Dolph Ziggler, Bron Breakker, Tommaso Ciampa, what feuds would you like to see? Great question, this one.
That's a pickle one. Do something with someone who's not being utilized on NXT. For instance, the Grizzled Young Veterans have a tag team feud with, I don't know, the New Day, for example. Do you know what I mean? You need someone that the GYV can bounce off of character-wise, and they'd be perfect for them. Maybe a female-wise, you could do, I don't know, maybe a not Bailey. Maybe, I don't know. It's really hard to tell with the women's division because there's so many of them still developing their characters at the minute that I'm not too sure on who I'd pick at the minute for the women's division. But yeah, for me, GYV versus the New Day.
That would be a very interesting feud there. I'd be really excited to see that. I mean, obviously, I like the idea of when AJ Styles came down just to try and boost the rating of NXT. I mean, Dolph Ziggler, don't get me wrong, that's going to be fun. And definitely want to get your take in a minute, actually, of who you would actually think is going to win tonight between Dolph Ziggler and Tommaso Ciampa. But first off, I mean, for me, if you get like Becky Lynch and Cobra Jade for a one-off match, perhaps maybe after WrestleMania, where Perhaps if Becky Lynch has dropped the Raw Women's Championship at this point, there's probably not so much left to lose. You could do that sort of feud there. It could be the up-and-comer, almost, if you want, not a shock victory, but you could see that surprise sort of element that she takes Becky to the limit. That could be kind of an interesting thing to see. And we mentioned the likes of AJ Styles there, but maybe someone like Seth Rollins to go down could be quite interesting. Seth Rollins versus LA Knight or someone like that. Really test these people to the water. And Carmelo Hayes as well. Damn it, get Carmelo on Raw, because Melo don't miss. He's money all day long.
Yeah, no, Miller is a fantastic character. It's Trick Williams I'm not too keen on, but Carmelo is just a solid wrestler. Like I said, I'm glad that WWE are now starting to use NXT as a third brand and not a developmental, so that we're getting these interactions. We're getting Dolph go down there. We've had AJ go down there previously. Hopefully, we can get more of these sort of crossover storylines that can build to something like, I don't know, another Survivor Series where we have all three brands feuding off against each other.
Will be interesting if it does come round to that at some point. But obviously, we said today tonight to get a prediction. Dolph Ziggler against Tommaso Ciampa. Who are you picking to win and why?
I'm going to go with Dolph, actually, just because I think it's just going to be another notch on Bron Breakker's belt to beat. So, because what is it? If Ziggler wins, he gets an NXT Championship shot.
I believe so.
I'm just going to say Ziggler wins. It's probably going to be through some sort of diabolical cheating scheme. But yeah, I think he'll go on to face Bron, and Bron will destroy him, and it would just be another notch for Bron.
Absolutely. You've more or less said exact words I was going to say. The only thing I'll add on top of it, Bron Breakker to get the experience to fight someone like a Dolph Ziggler who's so seasoned, can put people over so well. It's a win-win all round, isn't it?
He'll make Bron look like $1 million because everyone knows how good of a seller Dolph is.
Absolutely, indeed. There, KXI with us there. Who do you think will induct Undertaker in a Hall of Fame? I think Vince McMahon personally is my shout. What do you reckon?
I would have said Vince if I knew he wasn't such a. I don't know. He doesn't like being mentioned in people's speeches and stuff like that, which I find very hard for Taker not to do because of their relationship over the last 30 plus years, however long it's been. If it's not Taker, I imagine it would be someone like Kane or like you and Jonesy were saying on the review the other day for Elimination Chamber, someone from that old clique that used to hang around with Godfather or Rikishi or someone like that.
Will be very interesting. I mean, it's going to be fascinating to see who joins Undertaker in this Hall of Fame as well. Maybe even Michelle McCall might be involved as a shout as well. There's so many people that could be involved. And to be argued as well, Undertaker's going to have so many stories, so many years. Surely he could be doing the Hall of Fame all on his own.
Yeah, exactly. You could dedicate that one show to him because of like the stories that we have to tell. Did they induct Bulldog last year? Like from the year that it got cancelled? Didn't they induct him at SummerSlam, or did they cancel that altogether?
I can't remember. Someone let us know in the comments on that because they obviously were going to do some of them. They did the 2-in-1, didn't they, last year?
Yeah.
And I remember Batista couldn't be there, but I don't remember everyone. I'm sure the British Bulldog was, but I don't know.
Because Davey was there. It was last year because Davey was there because they had Davey, his wife, and I remember it now. Yeah, Davey did. He did get inducted. But I was just trying to remember if they inducted the previous class, but anyone else? I don't know. Undertaker's such a big name that it's probably just going to be some not so big names, like a Rene Dupree or something like that.
Shout out to Rene Dupree. He's actually on he's got his own podcast now, the Cafe de Rene, along with James as well from Primetime Conversations. Definitely was a fun listen when they actually talk with other WWE superstars from around that era also. So people go and check that out if you haven't already. But stick with us in the meantime. We've got lots to talk about here and lots of your questions as well, including this one from Randy Sam. I don't know if it is just me, but I'm very interested in this Roman versus Brock feud because down Paul Heyman's playing mind games of Brock losing the belt. Who is he going to face him in Madison Square Garden? In your opinion, his opinion, he's got here as Damian Priest, and it's also got Austin Theory as well as two potentials. I think that's two very good potentials. Of course, Bobby Lashley's meant to be the one, but of course he's on the concussion protocol. We know deep down he's not going to be around for a while, so it's definitely not Bobby Lashley. Who do you think it's going to be?
You'll probably find it's probably going to be someone that was in the chamber. So maybe AJ, depending on how his story plays out of Edge. Because it's a house show, isn't it? Essentially, the Madison Square Garden one. It'll probably be someone from the chamber. So I'd probably going to say AJ Styles. I think it's the only one that or an Austin Theory, just because Brock's so good with the small guys. So you put him with a Finn and Austin Theory and AJ. And it just makes Brock look dominant here. But I would say AJ Styles. It's Madison Square Garden, so I'd say AJ Styles.
I think AJ's a very good, sensible shout. Edge could be a sensible shout as well. And damn it, that'd be a match I'd want to see televised at WWE. But the only one I can really say is probably someone like Seth Rollins. But then would Roman want Seth because he couldn't put Seth away at the Royal Rumble? So I don't know if that would be one for the Tribal Chief or not.
It's really hard to tell because I'll be honest with you. I'm more concerned about where Seth's story is going for Mania. Putting him in the ring with Brock again, I don't think will do him any good. It needs to be, mind you, putting AJ in with him really wouldn't be any good. It probably needs to be someone that can take a loss. As much as you'd like to see a Seth or an AJ, it probably might end up being someone like Big E again or someone like that.
Certainly could be. That's an interesting shout there as well. There, we'll have to wait and see. Honestly, Randy, to be honest, for your question, we don't know, but we're going to give a lot of suggestions and hope one of them sticks. There you go. But Alicia actually did say, do we think Seth Rollins deserves better to do at WrestleMania 38? I mean, what is the role for Seth Rollins? Because obviously the rumors suggest, and apologies this if you don't want to know this, cover your ears for a couple of seconds. The rumors suggest it would be Cody if he's signed, but if he's not signed, we don't have a clear direction. Obviously, we've got this partnership going on with Kevin Owens. They could be going, looks like they're going for the tag team titles. Will they succeed? Will they fail? What is going to happen with Seth? And obviously, he was expected to go in as like the main guy for Raw, but obviously plans have changed a hell of a lot since the start of January.
I think, I'm not going to say the name again, but what you just said sounds like the best story possible for Seth Rollins. I think that makes total sense. They don't need to have anything on the line for it. It will just be a sense of the willingness to see it. Like this Mania feels like it's must see already. Like this Brock versus Roman feud is the most interested I've been in one of their feuds since they've started doing them. I think it's the best built. I want to see how this story concludes with these two. You've got the possibility of Edge versus AJ Styles. Another must-see match that people are going to want to see. You've got Ronda going up against Charlotte, another must-see story. Becky versus Bianca, a redemption story. This is lining up to be possibly one of the best Manias of all time. Dare I say it? Touch wood. But like I said, you put Seth versus Cody on. No, Seth versus someone that you didn't just say. This could just be making it a more star-studded WrestleMania.
Yeah, it could really just do that. And, I mean, there's another question come flying in as well here. And I think that Seth could be a perfect answer for this question as well from Jonesy that came in earlier on. Roman Reigns gets injured tomorrow. Who are your champs going into WrestleMania and coming out of the event? I would put Seth in as the champion, as the replacement to go against Brock Lesnar. How would you feel about that?
Yeah, you could do that. Or, like I said, Drew's particularly not got anything going for him at the minute. Maybe throw Drew in there. But, yeah, I'd say Drew, actually. I think Drew is a more bigger shot because I personally would rather see Seth versus the person you just said. And I'd rather see Drew take on Brock again because essentially those two are at one apiece. So I'd like to see a decider out of it and see who gets the average win over.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fantastic shout, actually. I didn't even think of Drew. And to be fair, he's been stuck in this feud with Happy Corbin for the longest time. So, I mean, I think that would make a lot of sense as well. So, Jonesy, hope you're satisfied with that answer. We've agreed in the end on Drew McIntyre, although Seth Rollins is still going to be a backup for me. Supersonic X says he would like to see AJ Styles versus Edge. It would be awesome. We certainly do agree. Thank you for checking out stream, Supersonic, by the way. Hope you are doing well. Same for Rick Perry as well. What will you do with Rhea Ripley, in your opinion, for Mania? And since WWE bring back Maverick, can that be a hint that we could get some surprise release for Mania? I hope there's no releases for Mania. Can't get anyone at this stage, or hopefully after, but that probably will happen. But let's go first off with Rhea Ripley. What would be your choice of plans for at WrestleMania at this stage?
I think, I know it's short notice, but I would possibly bring Bayley back. Have Rhea versus Bayley at Mania. It's two high-profile names in a match. It's the only thing out there that really you could do with Rhea that isn't involving a title, unless you're going to put her back in the tag team again. But we've literally just got rid of her with Nikki ASH. So yeah, I know it's short notice, but if I had the option to, I'd bring Bayley back and have a one-on-one between these two. Just build a short feud between them.
Absolutely love that. I love that idea there. If we're going on returns as well, Asuka could be a great return for this spot because she lost to Rhea Ripley last year.
Yep.
You could make a storyline out of that. I think it'd be fascinating to see. If we're going on people current roster in WWE right now, so it's like we not taking the gamble. I actually really think that Rhea Ripley and Doudrop have great chemistry in the ring, so I wouldn't mind seeing them have a battle in ring as well at WrestleMania. I know it'd be an undercard match, but certainly it's never a bad thing to win a match at WrestleMania, and to beat Doudrop, I think, would be quite a good thing.
Yeah. I think with that, with the short amount of time, you need to build a story really quickly to have some heat going into Mania for it. Otherwise, it essentially is just another match on a card. But if you was to build it quick enough, yeah, you could do it.
Absolutely, indeed, there. And I think we could both say here we hope for no more releases from WWE.
Yeah, 100%.
KXI is saying here now, since Orange Cassidy is basically AEW's mascot in a way, do you think who do you think is WWE's mascot? Interesting question. Would it be I don't know, someone like Reggie? I don't know.
Baron Corbin.
Yeah, he's happy after all. So
he's always there, and he never does anything of consequence that unfortunately will just push him further up the card. It's got to be something. Or even Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio is essentially, he's probably one of the longest names on the roster there. He's a massive character as well, which is essentially what Orange Cassidy is for AEW.
Absolutely, no, great shout indeed. That loving the answer there. So, okay, I hope you're liking that one. Ransam says, in your opinion, what tag teams do you want to see face the Usos on SmackDown if they beat the Viking Raiders, and how would you book it in your opinion? Great question, this one. I mean, I do think they're going to take the Viking Raiders match at WrestleMania, but we suggested before on a previous stream, Steve, the idea of a multi-team match at WrestleMania. Do you think that that's something that WWE should look into at this point?
Yeah, 100%. I think with the fact that you've had the Usos burying the Viking Raiders for, God, I'd like to say, they buried them at Elimination Chamber completely. Viking Raiders either need to have some redemption and win them titles, like they should be getting their rematch straight away and winning them titles, and then getting a rematch at Mania, or they just, to be honest with you, I think they should actually remove the Viking Raiders, write them off injury wise, and have them come back and have Usos fighting someone else like the New Day. But like you said, multi-man match, again, just creative wise, how you would get this multi-man match going, because essentially the Viking Raiders are still owed this match.
I think maybe what you could do is, like, on an idea for, say, like SmackDown, you sort of have the match that say, well, you've cost them that opportunity. That match is automatically built for WrestleMania. But in the meantime, the Usos get cocky and say, look, all right, we've got to face them, but in the meantime, we're going to beat every other team on SmackDown just to prove how great we are in the build here. They take on Los Lotharios. They end up losing that match, whether Viking Raiders get involved to sort of cause a distraction or interference in some way. And then we find, right, a third team's been involved. All of a sudden, we see Kofi and Big E getting involved in a match then with the Usos once again for probably the 500th time. But hey, we get to see it again. They've got great chemistry. Let's do it. And then the New Day win this match. And all of a sudden, boom, you're building up these teams. The Usos have lost momentum. And then you say, well, hang on. Let's have them take on the Viking Raiders. And then they lose that match in a singles capacity as well. And all of a sudden, every team feels they've got a legitimate purpose to have that tag team opportunity. It's a bit simple. It's a bit basic. But hey, it's a bit of a story that perhaps you could use on SmackDown.
Yeah, it would just be something to get these a bit more heat behind this tag team, or make it a bit more exciting than just having the Usos squash everyone. I mean, yeah, I was just a quick look at the roster. You've got obviously Los Lotharios, the New Day. There's even people have said before in previous streams, Sheamus and Ridge Holland. Throw them in there. Cesaro's been teaming with random people. Get Cesaro and Mansoor teaming up or something. And do you know what I mean? Just get like a 6-way tag team match, just get as many people as possible on the Mania show, because that's all you ever want to see. Is you want to see these people wrestle, and if you can get them on the show, man. I know battle royals are battle royals, but I want to see decent matches, and say do a 6-man or 6-way tag team match.
Yeah, would love to see it. I think that would make a lot of sense to do that. Just get people on the card would be fun to see. Perhaps even a gauntlet format. They did it last year with the women's tag team, so they could do it this year with the men's. That'd be quite fun to see. Ben here says, who else would you like to see inducted into the Hall of Fame this year? Who would you like to see?
I could not tell you off the top of my head without actually looking back and seeing who else is in there. Well, my dream would be Christian, but unfortunately, that's not going to happen because he's with AEW. I say he's one that has to go in. Off the top of my head, Steve, I'll be honest with you, I cannot give you an answer at this very specific moment. I'm pretty sure there's some icons from the 90s that I'm really missing over, like the Repo Man or something, man, something like that. That would be all right, but I could not tell you.
For me personally, from a nostalgia purpose of what I'd like to see, I'd like to see Bam Bam Bigelow would be one I'd like to see inducted. The Beast from the East. I loved his tattooed head, his in-ring style. He was pretty awesome. But I've answered this question a few times on streams of late, so I have the ready-made answer here. And I just say, basically, I think Michelle McCall will be fun just because of the fact that, it's the dead man's wife. Also, people from the Bone Street crew that have not been inducted, maybe the likes of a Savio Vega or someone like that. Perhaps maybe the Godwins. They've got to go in there at some point, haven't they? Give us some Southern justice. And maybe someone like Psycho Sid, who was the Undertaker's first main event at WrestleMania.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, like I said, they're all legitimate names that deserves to be in there. Let me ask you this question, Steve. How do you feel about people getting multiple entries into the Hall of Fame? Because I think it's a bit of a cop out for Hall of Fame for most. You've obviously, if you're going to induct the person, induct that one person for their achievement. I think if you go and induct a faction, for instance, I'm discrediting the Four Horsemen for what they've done and stuff. I just think you're taken away from the individual focus because for me personally, X-Pac, should go in the Hall of Fame, but as part of a faction, I think it just takes away from what he achieved as a wrestler. I'm not a big fan of factions going in.
No, I can understand that. For me personally, I don't mind it. The only thing I would say is that when someone's got 2 or 3 Hall of Fame rings, I think that's when it kind of doesn't add up. I mean, if you take someone like Ric Flair, for example. Now, I'm not sure if he's going to get called in again, but he's been there 2 times, obviously, with the Four Horsemen and as himself individually. I mean, we've had the NWO and Hogan's gone in there, so he's done 2 Hall of Fame rings. So there is that sort of way,
Twice.
Yeah, so I mean, there is. So I mean, he could go into a third time to want to do Evolution, and that would bring Flair in again. So there's always those sort of ways. So yeah, it's that sort of thing I'm not as fan of. But I mean, for me, I'm not too bad with the factions. But like I say, I do like the individual focus as well. I think that's pretty nice when they do that. This is Tabri Spree again saying Seth Rollins doing his best character work, and they don't have anything for Rollins. I think be patient with this one. They have got stuff in the pipeline, just not a set top WrestleMania match, but definitely got stuff going on. He's going for the tag titles.
Yeah, I mean, going back to Monday Night Raw, I was very shocked at the amount of references they made to Cody Rhodes. I was like, for me, it's not a WWE thing to have all these references. Like, it's an AEW thing, 100%. You go on the Young Bucks Twitter page, and they constantly do this kind of stuff. If anyone has watched BTE this week, they get Matt Hardy to do a urine test to mock Jeff doing one for WWE. This is an AEW thing, and having WWE do all these references is a weird thing to see for me because it's just not something I ever expect them to do. This makes me believe that he is 100% going back to WWE because unless they've changed their creative and their outlook on stuff, and they've seen what AEW does with this thing. I just hope that it's not for nothing, and we get all these teases, this dashing reference, all this kind of stuff, and we don't get Cody Rhodes coming back.
As long as we don't get Stardust, that's all I'm asking for here. But obviously, we do think we're going to get that. So let's be patient with this one. I promise you, in a couple of weeks, there could be a big match in line for Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 38, even if it's not set just yet. And Superstar next wants to know about Asuka coming back. Do we want her back and slide her into storylines? What storylines will she be in? The women's title matches are locked in unless we have her involved in one of the matches, which I don't think will happen at this point. I think the Battle Royal is most likely. I mentioned Rhea Ripley as a potential idea, but again, I don't think that will happen either. But yeah, I think the Battle Royal is probably the safest point at this point, or the Raw after Mania. What do you think?
Yeah, or like you said a little while ago, Rhea Ripley. It gets both of them on the card to do something. But yeah, like you said, I think she's come back from a shoulder injury or shoulder surgery. So yeah, Battle Royale was probably the safest bet for her.
Absolutely, indeed. There. Just to take this opportunity as well to say thank you everyone that's been watching so far. If you can hit the like button on this video, really is appreciated. It really helps the growth and spread this video out as well, like all your comments are doing as well. All questions will be answered. Very sorry that we are a little bit behind, but do be patient. We will catch up. And we're going to start off now with Alex Radford here, who says, what I will do next for Finn Balor is beat Damian Priest for the United States Championship, and then Ciampa goes out and challenges him. That'll be interesting, and I might turn Ciampa heel. And obviously, that'll be a fun match to see. We've seen Terry about in NXT. Would you be down for this?
Yeah, it's if it's a way to get Ciampa on the main roster and do it, yeah. But like I said, for me personally, I'd want to see it as a tag team. But that's some solid booking there. I do like that idea.
It certainly is a fun idea indeed there. Alyssa Stansbury as well says that she's so sick of Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns feud. Think it's stale. We need something new. And do you know what? I think we will get something new after WrestleMania. WrestleMania feels like the final chapter.
I think with this Brock Roman, to be fair, I think this is what they've been trying to do all these years, is this storyline. Because when Brock come out Monday night, my God, that guy is such a face. He is walking around high-fiving the crowd. You don't ever see Brock Lesnar high-five the crowd, man. It just, this is, like I said, hopefully will be the payoff, and we won't actually have to see this again on another menu. This will be the be-all and end-all of this story.
I think they're finally getting what they want with this story, to put it on Mania. The way it's been done, they've tried it twice and people have rejected it. I think this time people won't reject it as much this time. I understand some people are sick of it. That's totally fine. You're in with respects to do that. But I think WWE are getting what they want this time. Brock Lesnar is being dressed up like JR too many weeks as well. It's been fun to see. Like you say, he's been getting kids to pat the championship as well. I thought it was a nice little touch on Raw. Babyface Brock for me has been so much fun. I just wish he didn't destroy all the top main event scenes so easily. But hey, you can't have it all. Randy Sam here says, in your opinion, and this is no disrespect, but is Danhausen AEW R-Truth funny and enjoyable to watch? And all respect to R-Truth, it's his fave on Raw. I think so. I think they have their funny moments. Sometimes, let's go with R-Truth first off, the 24/7 stuff. Sometimes I think, okay, I've seen this stuff before, but I mean, you know, I think it's got its entertaining place. I mean, we mentioned with Brock Lesnar, he found R-Truth hilarious.
R-Truth is the most decorated person in WWE. There's some respect needs to put on that guy's name. I remember when he was K Quick, and he come out. That was the back in the 90s. K Quick before he was R-Truth. That guy, look, R-Truth is a guaranteed Hall of Famer, 100%, and he deserves it, man. He has been nothing but a solid person for WWE. Anything he's ever put in front of him, he has smashed it out of the park. As for Danhausen, I knew of Danhausen, but I hadn't seen a lot of him. I know he can wrestle. I can't say I've ever seen him wrestle. His character is very strange, and it's one that I've watched a couple of Ethan Page's vlogs that have got Danhausen in. He's a very, very strange character. I can see why you would say these kind of comparisons for where they're going to sit on the show, maybe. But like I said, this guy has got himself over from being this quirky, crazy character, and I'm all for that, man. The Orange Cassidy, come on, man. This guy was in a main event for the AEW World Championship last year, and the guy does like shin kicks, and everyone loves it. It's great character work.
Absolutely, and the thing is, with Danhausen, hope I'm so because at first I wanted to say Danhausen, but I believe it's Danhausen. Yeah, Danhausen. I just find him so entertaining. I watched a few of his interviews and stuff, his vlogging stuff as well. Yeah. His YouTube channel is so entertaining. Watching him with the likes of MJF with the Burberry scarf on as well, seeing him with the likes of CM Punk. Honestly, if you've not seen the stuff, it's really entertaining. Like you say, it's quirky, it's out there, it's a bit strange, but you know what? It's bloody entertaining.
Different.
It's different. It stands out. It's something special. And I think with a bit of time, because everyone always was critical of like him being signed, because there was like, oh, there were some of these ex-WWE guys. Then he came in and it was like, who's this guy? Why isn't he from WWE? And it's like, well, look, give this guy a chance. Seriously, he's going to be entertaining as hell. And they put him in with Chaos, like I said, with Orange Cassidy, with those sort of people. It's where you put them in. And I think give it about 6 months from now, I think he's going to be like, you know, he's already got like a sort of like under sort of like line following, a hardcore following. I think there's going to be a full-on following from the AEW fan base. And I think when he gets that sort of pay-per-view match like Orange Cassidy had against Pac that one time, I think he's really going to stand out. He's going to have a real moment to shine.
Yeah, 100%. He's going to do exactly that. Like, that's the good thing about AEW is they've got the ability to do these with these indie wrestlers, and they just put them on a bigger stage and get them out there more to the world. I mean, pointing example when Danhausen signed and he's like, he starts banging on about buying his t-shirts off Pro Wrestling Tees. I was like, it's just great character work, man. It's just great character work. It
really, really is. KXI, back with the next question now. If MVP were to make a new Hurt Business, who do you think would be in it? Great question. You look like you've got some answers ready for me.
Why are Shelton Benjamin, Cedric Alexander tag teaming as Hurt Business? What's happened here? I've missed something in the storyline because I thought MVP and Bobby were Hurt Business. Cedric and Shelton come out on Raw like they're Hurt Business. I'm like, hey, and I'm confused by this one. What's going on with the story? Did I miss something?
So I think the basis of it is that the Hurt Business is dead. to MVP and Bobby Lashley. And the thing is, it's a marketable brand. So Vince McMahon thinks if I'm going to put them on Raw, I'm going to just call them the Hurt Business. I think that's what it comes down to. For me personally, if MVP was to make a new one, I'm going to give Jonesy a bit of credit for the first name, Omos, because I think any guidance Omos can get from someone like MVP, I think would be great. Personally, for me, I would add Carmelo Hayes, and I would add Trick Williams as well to that, because Melo don't miss. He's been doing some work with MVP, some training together in NXT. Melo is going to be a star when it comes along. And I do think, I know you said that Trick Williams not your kind of flavor at this particular moment, but I'm willing to get Bowdy.
Yeah, no, he can wrestle. But I'm going to throw this one out to you. I'm going to say Hill Street Profits.
Oh, yes. Yes. Sign me up. I would like to see that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the solid tag team, which is essentially what they need. Or, just like you said, Omos is a great shout. Him and a small guy like Carmelo Hayes broaden the horizon. But yeah, a heel Street Profits for me. I love Street Profits, but I think if you want to give him a heel dynamic, that's the way to go with him too.
That would be very interesting indeed there. Randy Simpson says, I agree with Steve. I love all the wrestlers who do flipping kicks, all respects. But man, Edge is on another level. I would like to see Edge teach these new stars how to get a crowd over. Cut promo also. I mean, to be fair, Edge is just, I think he's done such amazing work since coming back. He's arguably one of the best promos in the entire company. He's had some great matches as well. And look, he's gone through his accolades on Raw. Some of the great show stealing moments he's had on previous WrestleManias. There is so much experience and so much young talents can learn from Edge.
Yeah, I mean, this what you mentioned here about teaching about promos. Some people have naturally got it. Edge is one of them people that's naturally got it. Randy Orton, it took him a long time. It's only in the last sort of 2-3 years that he's actually mastered his promo ability. He said so himself on the Broken Skull session when he was talking with Steve Austin. He said that he finally a couple of years ago he just twigged, and that's it. He got promos and he knows how to do them now. And this is why we're getting some of the best character work from Randy over the last few years. Like I said, some people have naturally got it. Edge is just one of them people that has naturally got it. It's really hard to teach that natural charisma. I mean, I know that the PC that they're supposed to be, what they say is that to do acting classes, and at the PC they get these people come in to do this kind of stuff to help these future wrestlers with this promo stuff. So hopefully it's something they can work on in the future. But like I said, with certain people, it's just all natural, and you can't beat all natural charisma. Unfortunately, you can't teach that.
You can't, no, but you certainly can ask questions and try and take on board what you 100%. Can, because there were little steps, little tricks that Edge has done over the career that sometimes just little character traits. They're not even on a promo, and I think those are the things that superstars could teach and, like I say, could just help to get over. But hopefully Edge will have those matches, those moments with a number of those superstars. But obviously, the match we want to see at the moment is with another experienced wrestler in AJ Styles. And Jackson Rickenhouse says, this is how I would book AJ versus Edge. Edge cuts a promo again, and then AJ comes out. But Edge says no to the feud. You're good, but not Edge. Edge is not good. Fans are booing him, and then AJ Styles starts snapping and starts to turn heel. So they would have a heel AJ Styles on this. Would you like to see anyone turn heel on this feud?
I don't think it needs it. I think that it's a dream match, and people just want to see these two wrestle. I think this is probably one of the few matches on the Mania card, that you don't need a story for. I'd like to see some interactions before. I want to see them talk about their past and their accolades and their stuff like that. I want to see Edge talk about winning Rumbles and main event in Manias and stuff. And then I want to see AJ talk about dominating from here to Japan and back again. That's the kind of stuff I want to see. Heel face-wise, I don't think this one needs it, though.
No, personally for me, it doesn't either. I like the creativity from Jackson. I think it's a fun suggestion. Personally, if you ask my personal opinion on it, like you, Steve, I personally would like to see the face versus face dynamic. I like that idea of Edge versus AJ Styles. I wouldn't want to see it any other way, because both of them... Go on.
No, I was just going to say, essentially, if you're face to face, you're looking at a Rock versus Hogan at Mania scenario all over again with these two. I think it'd be fantastic.
Absolutely, couldn't agree with that more there. Love that suggestion. KXI, who do you think should be the NXT 2.0 on-screen general manager? William Regal, obviously. But if you can't be, Drake Maverick.
Regal's got released.
I know, but still, I still want Regal.
Oh, right, yeah. So, I know what you mean. Yeah. If, in an ideal world, it would be Regal. But no, I would say... Who's the guy? The guy with the suits who keeps trying to recruit women all the time. Now he's finally teamed up.
Oh, Robert Stone.
Robert Stone, there you go. Yeah, Robert Stone. Put him as GM, man, because he's a funny little character, man. I think he can do some great work.
That could be interesting to see, certainly from character directly. I mean, obviously, would he push Von Wagner? Let's hope not. Matthew Brown's announced, I agree with SCW, we get Corbin versus Drew, but in your opinion, I will have Drew McIntyre cut a promo on SmackDown, and out of nowhere, Pete Dunne can come out and challenge Drew to a feud for Mania in a UK street fights, it goes on to say there. Pete Dunne definitely needs to be called up to the main roster. Could be potentially be one that could be called up. We were asked that question about call-ups. Pete Dunne would definitely be a good shout. And a match against Drew McIntyre would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if you build that feud for the British pay-per-view that's lined up for September, man, that's a headliner there. Those two, you got Scotland versus England. It's one of the oldest rivalries old as time. Yeah, that'd be really good. Like I said, yeah, Pete Dunne. Unfortunately, he's with him. He's been booked in NXT, but he's never got anything for his troubles. He was the longest running UK champion until Walter took over, and then obviously Walter's beaten that now. But he's not done anything apart from one solitary tag team run in NXT. He's never won the North American Championship. He's never won the main championship. It's a real shame, man, because he is such a good wrestler.
He really, really is. And it looks like he will be going for Carmelo Hayes actually next. He did actually shout out to him on NXT last week. So let's see what does come from that. Adam Brad comes on and says, I'm sorry, but I need to create a women's mid-card belt already. And I will have it on the Mae Young Battle Royal for WrestleMania. Sup, guys? Yeah, interesting philosophy. I personally don't need to see a mid-card title. I think there's enough championships already. But it seemed that you were very much in favor of that idea there, Steve.
When you and me were talking the other day, and I said the only problem they'd have with putting these two brands together is that you're going to have 7 top women and you're only going to have one main title. There's your get out clause there. I thought of it after we finished and forgot to say it, but yeah, they need to bring in a mid card title because then it just gives more for the women to do as well, and it's more for these 7 top female stars that they've currently got to do something.
Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, if you like you say there, if you get rid of and merge the Raw and SmackDown belts, different story. I'm well up for this belt then. That would definitely change my philosophy. In the meantime, obviously, although I think it's an okay idea, I wouldn't do it where we have so many championships currently already. Randy Sam says, send Nikki ASH into NXT and have her alliance with Dakota Kai, aka the Twisted Sister. Love that idea, but I'd make one small change. I'd actually bring Dakota Kai to Raw to do that.
Say that again, Steve. Sorry, I'm just trying to sort out my green screen.
Okay, fair play. Actually, you can see that. It's quite fun. Actually, it said Nikki ASH to NXT to have an alliance with Dakota Kai, aka the Twisted Sister. I said that I would change that up and just do it on Raw.
Yeah, why not? To say Dakota Kai has just been. She's not achieved anything really since being on. She's not done anything really. Like I said, she should have beaten Raquel for the NXT Championship, and you could have had. She should have been the one to legit beat Raquel because there was a story behind it. She would have made Raquel look human because she can beat. Thank you. She can make Raquel look human, and because Raquel was winning from Dakota Kai, interfering all the time, but she's not done anything. But yeah, like I said, just do something with Dakota because now she's essentially doing a crazy Nikki character.
Pretty much, yeah, from way back when, and I mean that would be a good tag team as well. I think that would definitely give Nikki something to do as well. Obviously, this character she's got is not working out at all, so it would be quite fun to see that happen. And also, just going to say as well, I want Apollo Crews on NXT 2.0 and ask Odyssey Jones to join him with Aziz and create a Nigerian stable and Crews as the king. I certainly think Crews would be a good shout to go to NXT actually and take on Bron Breakker. I wouldn't mind that idea.
Yeah, Crews is a very underestimated wrestler. Like his in-ring ability is so good. It's just a shame that we don't get to see it that often in a longer capacity. Like it's always short-handed matches, but if you get him in a 15-20 match, he can blow the roof off most places. He's actually really underrated, Apollo Crews.
He really, really is indeed. The HHW show in the house. They will be live actually in about an hour themselves, just for those that are wondering. And I think they're doing their WrestleMania build starting off now. So shout out to Ovi and the boys. They're always a great bunch of guys and been on their show a number of times. So I do go and show them some love in about an hour's time on their channel. But he says Kane should be the one to induct Undertaker. My prediction. And also has gone on to say something about Kurt Angle. I don't know if that's with the same part or not, but I think either could be fun, but Kane certainly, I think, of those would be the stronger. Would you agree?
Yeah. Kane just makes more sense because obviously they've had their they had their like Kane's big feud coming in was he's his brother and all this kind of stuff, and they had their runs together. They've had their tag team journey together. Kane for me is a solid pick for it.
He certainly is indeed there. And we're going to go back to the top of the stream very quickly and just get in one of James's questions. It's been a while since we've had one of them. He's got a few in before the stream started as he couldn't watch us live. What is your favourite part of Shane McMahon's most recent comeback? Probably him leaving, I think, would be the one, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a shout. They oversaturated us with his previous stint, and it just is kind of soured the taste with a lot of people with Shane McMahon.
Unfortunately, that was the case, yeah. It certainly wasn't eliminating Kevin Owens from the Royal Rumble or being in the final 3 or 4 either, I would say there. And while we're here as well, we've got another question from earlier. What's your best and worst gimmick matches in WWE history and why? To answer this one, I'll answer first if you don't mind. I've had a little time to think about this one. I personally am not a fan of the blindfold match, or I think it's one of the more worse gimmick matches. I liked it as a child. I thought it was fun as a child, but as I've got older, I do think it is a bit ridiculous, the idea of the blindfold. They can't see each other. It's always the same strategy. It takes about 10 minutes to find each other. Someone then hits one of their big moves, or they end up hitting the referee or something. It's sort of bad comedy, really, in my personal opinion. But favourite gimmick match, I'm really torn by it. But I do like the Elimination Chamber, but I suppose I have a soft spot for TLC as well, but I think I would go with the Elimination Chamber. Might just be my favourite gimmick match currently in WWE. What about yourself?
For me, yeah, TLC is a great shout for best one, but for me, it's my favourite pay-per-view. I want to watch it every year. It's the Royal Rumble. I just every year the Rumble's on. It's the one that I'm gonna go. It's the one that I want to watch every year because the Rumble for me has always got that unexpectedness about it. Like who's gonna be in it? It's just one of my favorite, they do for that. As for worst, I don't know. I don't know. I'm probably missing a complete obvious one that is really stupid. I mean, my only one quirk actually with their gimmick matches is that the fact that you have a Falls Count Anywhere and a Street Fight, and they're all essentially the same match, but they have so many different names, and it's just like, can we just pick one name and stick to it, please?
Yeah, I think that's a fair shout. I just want to retract my last statement, by the way. Best is the Royal Rumble. As an alternative, by the way, for worst, because we've had some bad ones in the past, well, from multiple different companies. I think we can say from bad one-offs. But House of Horrors back in 2017, Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, that definitely was a god-awful stipulation match back in the day, if you remember that one.
It was bad. But then, what was Cameron Grimes and... Who's the guy that doesn't say anything on NXT?
Dexter Lewis.
Dexter, what was their match on NXT? That was kind of like a
house match or something like that.
Yeah, it was really strange, man. That's almost like I thought that was a House of Horrors match as soon as you brought that up, but I don't think it was a House of Horrors. But yeah, it's that's why I was going to discredit it, but I can't think of what the name of that match was.
I think it was Haunted House match, and it was very similar to the House of Horrors. It's a very similar style, and even had some zombie referees. So yeah, if it's your flavour, power to you. But yeah, not quite mine. Randy Sam says, give me a Ricochet on NXT 2.0, and for you, with Cameron Grimes will be epic, and also give Ricochet a person to teach him on the mic would be cool. Yeah, Ricochet's not the strongest promo, but I do feel he's got a bit better over the years.
Yeah, do you know what I think he needs? I think he needs a heel turn. I think that's what he ideally needs, because being a heel you can get away with so much stuff character wise, and I think that just makes more sense. And yeah, don't get me wrong, in ring he's fantastic. I love the Adam Cole Ricochet match where Adam Cole super kicks him while he's doing a moonsault off the middle rope. Such a fantastic match, and yeah, I'd love to see Ricochet do more. But yeah, I think turning him heel would probably be your best bet with Ricochet.
Yeah, I mean, a heel turn would be good. It was fun in New Japan when it happened. I didn't see it consistently, but certainly was quite interesting when I did see it, and what I did see of it. So that would be quite fun. But yeah, him versus Cameron Grimes would be a fun feud. HHW show, if AJ Styles goes against Edge, I doubt Styles will challenge Brock Lesnar. I will choose Austin Theory. Well, I think it's a fair shout, Austin Theory, because he was in the final 2 of the Elimination Chamber. And of course, that was pretty darn entertaining at the end of the Elimination Chamber, that 5 minutes, obviously seeing him run around the cell. So yeah, I mean, would you be down for Lesnar versus Theory? Not that we'll get to watch it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, when I was watching Chamber, I was like, this is a pure Terminator film. This is literally John Connor just running away from the Terminator. And then I actually thought during the pay-per-view, I was like, why is this Elimination Chamber so tall? Like, normally I'm expecting guys to climb up this kind of thing. I was like, look, there's like easily 12 foot above these guys on top of these pods. Why is that? And there we go. It literally happens later on in the show. We got Austin Theory, RIP Austin Theory's knees, man. But yeah, it's a good shout. But the problem is, if you was to put this match on at the Garden, you just have Austin Theory run away from Brock for 10 minutes because that's all it's going to be again. And this is a cage match.
Yeah, absolutely indeed there. I'd just like to apologise, by the way, because we are probably about half an hour behind on questions, just looking at the time of where we're up to at the moment. We will catch up and we will get everyone's questions on. We will promise on that one. We're maybe trying to get through some of them a bit quicker. Ricky Glow says, don't tease me. Imagine MSG, AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar and Roman costs Brock and then AJ wins the WWE Championship. Edge versus AJ for the championship. Holy cow. But I think it's best we do winner take all because the brand split needs to end. I'm not sure if it will end though with the winner taking all, but certainly that was the fantasy booking sort of suggestion with it. If we did get an AJ Styles on Edge in that possibility, and that certainly makes it interesting, doesn't it? Would you be down if they were to change things and swerve us and have the WWE Championship with AJ Styles and Edge?
Not really, because I think the winner takes all is the bigger headline and the bigger attraction, and that's essentially what I want to see now. Is I want to see who's going to walk out with both the titles, because I'm going to give you an early prediction there, but I'm actually going to say Brock Lesnar. I think Roman's going to lose at Mania. I think that's what I'm going with. It's something that I really would love to see because no one's expecting it. I think everyone is expecting Roman to win. And I think it would just be great if Brock walks out with both titles. I think it would be hilarious. But yeah, it's not unheard of. We've seen AJ win the WWE Championship on a house show before. Did he beat Jinder for it, didn't he?
It was
just
a SmackDown
Survivor Series.
It was a SmackDown, wasn't it? Taping. It was the first time the WWE Championship had actually changed hands overseas, I believe, at that point when that happened. So yeah, it was very interesting.
Yeah, so say it's not unheard of, but it's like 0.001% chance of happening.
Absolutely, we'll have to wait and see. Dirty Hills approved. Good to see you guys on the stream. Hope you guys are doing well. Drop in a question if you'd like to. As well, Danny Barron in house as well. If you didn't see Raw, Orton had his 2009 haircut. He certainly did. I noticed that as well. Is this a tease of Cody and Orton back in Legacy? And that's where Cody plays mind games with Randy and Randy turns on Riddle. Would be an interesting philosophy if we saw sort of a mini sort of return of Legacy. I certainly gave a fantasy booking suggestion idea of like, I don't know, the second and third generations in an NWO style stable on my latest Ask SCW. I thought it could be quite fun. I don't think it will happen in a million years, but certainly it was interesting that Orton turned back the clock this week of going back and looking like he was 10 years younger.
Yeah, it was a shame that Legacy was never a bigger thing, unfortunately. Like I said, it had a great concept behind it. You've got these generational talents in Cody and Randy and DiBiase. It's just a shame that it never played out. I thought that would have been like a cert, that faction.
I would have thought so as well. Definitely would have thought it would have been a cert. HSW says, I agree with you, but I don't feel Seth and Cody would mix just yet. Cody can come after WrestleMania. We'll have to wait and see when he does come in. It'll be fascinating to see how this happens. But we've got Rick Perry says, SCW Steve, my fault. I mean, WWE can potentially bring back some released talent. I see where you were going with that earlier in the stream. Apologies, Rick, there. Yeah, I mean, I would be down to see some of the talents come back. It depends on which talents would want to come back at this point. A lot of superstars seem to be happy with some of their directions. It seems that, for example, John Morrison is now with AAA at WWE as Johnny Superstar this past weekend. I believe Superstar X actually brought that up on our Elimination Chamber review stream. I've gone to see that confirmed since, and apparently wouldn't be so keen on the comeback recently. So we'll have to wait and see. But obviously, Maverick is back. We're pleased to see Maverick back. We think that definitely there is a purpose with that. We'll have to see where it would lead to going forward. But SC Williams as well in the house saying that is there a target we potentially get Alexa Bliss versus Liv Morgan for Mania because they had good chemistry on Mania. They did have good chemistry in the Elimination Chamber. I'd be down for that match at Mania, would you?
Yeah, I mean, if they can build it and they get like a quick little story going behind it, I'd absolutely love to see it. I mean, if I think it would give Liv some more momentum going forward. I mean, she's obviously, like I said on the preview for Chamber, she's always 95% pushed all the way towards the title, but she just never gets over that last percentage and wins the actual thing. So giving her something like Alexa Bliss, I think it's good for Alexa Bliss to get back into a more active ring competitiveness because she went from winning Raw and SmackDown championships to basically then doing a tag team to doing absolutely nothing. So yeah, she needs to get back in the ring more as well.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. Certainly be a match I would like to see. Marge in the house as well. I agree, Steve. I like title matches, but I also like the match that have a good build and storyline with no title. The same for AEW and WWE. Yeah, I mean, personally, it's all about a good story for me. I love a story more than sometimes than title matches. I think they can be the more fascinating ones because titles are usually built around a similar theme unless you want to add a storyline on top of that title match. But yeah, I mean, personally for me, I'm a storyline driven guy. Are you as well, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes some matches just necessarily don't need much of a story. Like we've said a little while ago, Edge versus AJ. If it happens, it doesn't need a build. It's just a dream match that you want to see. But yeah, I mean, and again, same earlier, Brock versus Roman. This is a proper decent story that I'm invested in. I've never been invested in one of their feuds before, and now I'm all in for this main event.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel exactly the same there. Martin Korean was in with us on the stream. Martin, hope you're doing well, my friend. He says, what's up, both Steves? Hope you're both doing well. If you can make a faction with Cody Rhodes in WWE, who would you put in and what would you call it? Well, I mean, I did this on my Q&A. So if you don't mind, I jump in first, if you don't mind, Steve, while you have a think about this. I suggested the idea if you did Cody coming in heel, that he could jump the barricades, jump in and sort of like, you know, what is he doing here? He shouldn't be here kind of thing. And then Cody could suggest this idea that he's not alone. He's got a faction that's going to be kind of NWO style-esque, if you want to go back to like the 96 time. And then we kind of think, is other people coming from AEW? But actually, no, we have the likes of like a faction, as I said, targeting second and third generation wrestlers, maybe the likes of like a Randy Orton. Let's get some women wrestlers in there like a Charlotte Flair as well. And instead of like Legacy, why not Dynasty?
Yeah, sounds like a really good chat. That, that sounds actually quite mad. For me, I've just literally looked at the roster quickly, and I just had a quick think about this. This is my reason. This is my how to get GYV on the main roster. Grizzled Young Veterans and Cody Rhodes as a faction, because as like you said, there's Hill, which I know Cody doesn't really want to play the Hill because of all his stuff that he does outside of wrestling, but get him as a Hill with GYV. You've got a solid faction there.
You really, really do. I think that'll be fun to see. Definitely a big excuse to bring up. We want to see JYV on the main roster. You probably could tell that by now. Ben says he thinks Lex Luger should be inducted to the Hall of Fame. That'd be a great shout, Lex.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I thought I was having a look at. Sorry. Yeah. No. Yeah. Lex Luger. I'm surprised he hasn't gone in. To be fair, it's like he was. What was it? What was his nickname when he first come in? It was the
total package, the narcissist as well. He's been
narcissist. Yeah. And I think it's deserving for Lex Luger. I mean, I know he wasn't exactly. He didn't go over as well as they wanted, but. Yeah, he's a legend, man. When anyone as old as you and myself, like we all know Lex Luger. Same with Sid. Everyone knows who Psycho Sid is. Yeah, so I'm very surprised that Luger's not in there already.
Yeah, I would be surprised as well. So yeah. Luger would be a great shout there, Ben. We agree with that one. How do you guys feel about an Impact pay-per-view and also the Good Brothers back in the Bullet Club, and who do God get, and also Eddie Edwards heel turn as well. Are we going to see a new look and theme with Eddie Edwards? So No Surrender, of course, was this past weekend as well. Of course, it wasn't the only event on Saturday. I thought No Surrender was an absolute belter. I mean, obviously, you mentioned about God on the Ask SCW episode. I said I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, no, I was completely shocked by that because God are obviously their OG Bullet Club, so I was very shocked to see that happen. If anything, I thought Jay White was leaving the Bullet Club, but then obviously you had is it Chris Bay come out, and it was clear that that Jay White has sided with the Good Brothers and kicked God out, and very shocked. I love God as a tag team, so I know they're out of contract with New Japan, so the world is their oyster at the minute because. Wherever they go, they're going to be champions no matter what. As for Eddie Edwards, unfortunately, I would not know anything about his theme or his package, but I did hear about his turn on Impact and signing with Honor No More. I'd tell you what, it gives me flashbacks of Invasion when you had the likes of when you had the old WWE of WWF roster back then turning and going back to ECW and stuff. I thought it was really good.
It was amazing, honestly, and you couldn't pick the more perfect guy. I want to give a shout out to Jamie Holmes, by the way. About a week after the first invasion happened, he suggested the idea of Eddie Edwards joining this group, just on the random Q&A. And at the time, I was like, it's a good shout, that. And I had never thought of it. And I've watched the story progress since week on week, and I was like, he's onto something there. And when it happened, I just popped out of my seat and just cheered, because I thought myself, he just called it from minute one, and I thought it was absolutely genius. And I don't know if there'll be a change much, perhaps no more of the great theme song that we sing along to. I could see it be with the Honor No More music, but I don't think we get much of a change in look with Eddie Edwards, but certainly perhaps a more different sort of aggressive attitude, I would imagine. I'd like to see Alicia Edwards join that group as well. I think that'd be quite fascinating. As you mentioned, God, the world's the worst. That Tama Tonga has put a tweet out and also been shared on Instagram saying that he's not leaving Japan yet. Revenge first. So that's going to be interesting what's going to happen there. I do think they will go for the Impact World titles again. I would have loved them to stay in Japan, though, and I'd like to have seen them go and try and break up the Bullet Club and get like your, almost like NWO again, but like your Black and White and Wolfpack, and split the pack up into two stables. I think that would be quite fun, but I'm not sure we're going to get that.
Wolfpack Bullet Club, yeah, man. I actually like the sound of it, to be fair. I used to love the Wolfpack back in WCW days.
It certainly was. And get Bowdy for that indeed there. Nice Conan reference for you there. Justin Taylor here says, did you like the Miz pulling an MJF on Raw? Miz saying dashing. I tell you, man, Miz is that guy who knows how to get a crowd to boo or cheer or say go away. Well, Miz is incredible on the mic, Justin. I have to agree with you. Miz is certainly one of those underrated talents when you look in WWE. He doesn't get enough credit, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's one. He's like I said, we said earlier before about Edge, another one that has just natural charisma, and he should naturally just be a heel constantly because he knows how to rub people up the wrong way. And yeah, he's very I wouldn't say underappreciated, but I just think he goes under a lot of people's radar for what he does and what he brings to the product.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that also. And just quickly while we're here, because I said it'd be one of the things we'll talk about on this stream very quickly. Logan Paul was the selection, obviously, after sort of teasing the idea of Cody Rhodes. I thought it was a brilliant move. Now, I know that Logan Paul is not popular, but he's been used in WWE before. He was used at WrestleMania last year as a babyface. He came with Miz in a segment in August last year. Now, Logan Paul, for me, he is a box office draw. He had the match with Mayweather that did very well in box office. I'm well aware that Takes Two to Tango, Mayweather was on that fight as well, and people want to see Logan Paul probably get knocked out. But certainly, as you look at this from a WrestleMania prospect here, you've got someone that's, you know, celebrity name value that comes in there that people don't like, will want to see get beaten up. You've got The Miz, that's obviously someone that's been there for years. You've got Rey Mysterio, the WWE 2K22 cover star, so that's good for the video game of celebrity as well. And you've got, last but not least, Dominic Mysterio, a young guy, probably his first proper WrestleMania match, because last year was on WrestleMania SmackDown. First proper WrestleMania match. His dad is a cover star of a video game. You've got, you know, someone that's done great work for years and years with The Miz, and you've got a celebrity in Logan Paul. Is this a star-making performance if Dominic Mysterio can get the pinfall in this match and get the victory?
It could be. It could very well could be. This could be the start of, like, say, if we eventually get that split between him and his dad after Mania, and that goes on to a feud, and we get that at SummerSlam or Survivor Series or something like that, 100% this could be the start of it. I actually thought Logan Paul was really good on Monday as well. I was not disappointed by his performance. I thought he'd come out. He seemed buzzing for it, which is always, if he's the guy's into it, it's just going to make it better. And like I said, the skull-crushing finale is a little bit to be imagined, but I just thought it was really entertaining. I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. I know it's Logan Paul, but like I said, I thought it was really good.
He's a guy you want to boo, and that's sometimes the goal in wrestling. You want to boo, you want to see him lose. So it's a good, it's a good thing. And also, apparently, according to the rumors last year, he was very easy to work with for WWE. So that's the reason they brought him back a couple of times already. So, and now they probably brought him in a more suitable role rather than babyface, what they were doing last year. So interesting stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing where that's going to lead to. Very quickly, for those, if you're watching, we've got a few watching right now. If you can hit the like button on this video, it really, really does help the channel grow, spreads it out further in the algorithms. I know it's a bit boring to say it in the middle of the stream, but if you can do, really, really do appreciate it. We're going to go on for about another 20 minutes or so. So we're going to try and get through all the questions in that time. I'll have a look during this next one, how many questions we've got left to make sure we get everybody on. But Martin Guerrero says, unpopular opinion, Brock Lesnar is the top babyface in WWE. He is just so fun seeing him go at it alone, and it seems he's enjoying wrestling once again. False. Martin, easy, 100% agree.
Yeah, I mean, I had the same thing. If Brock's invested, same with how Randy was. If Randy's invested, you get some of the best character work out of him. And yeah, Brock is currently loving life at the minute. I don't think Brock's ever really been as big of a baby face as he is at this very moment. And yeah, apart from his initial return against John Cena when people loved him, but he was still a heel back then. But I'm loving his character work, and when Brock is enjoying it, I enjoy it. Same as say with Randy last year. When Randy enjoys it, I enjoy it.
Totally agree with that 100%. The KXI here saying it's him or Edge as top babyface in his opinion. I think Edge is one of the top babyfaces as well. They totally agree with that. Martin Carrera says, who can be NXT's Ciampa versus Gargano in the current NXT 2.0? Great question, this one. Wow.
Oh.
As an NXT Steve, I think you have to have the first stab at this.
Let me just have a quick look at this NXT roster. The problem is you're just setting such a high standard, telling me that who's the next Ciampa and who's the next Johnny Gargano. If anything, there isn't anyone. Those names are too high profile at the minute with the current roster and the feuds that are going on, and the stories that they're telling. I can't actually compare. My closest thing to it would possibly be if you was to split MSK and have them two go against each other, because the history between them two is probably the only thing that would make a really good feud to watch.
I think that's interesting. Like you say, it's the initial of breaking up a tag team as well. So that's where you kind of have to go with that, to have that sort of philosophy with those to begin with. So I think MSK, like you say, is probably the best one. I don't think the Grizzled Young Veterans would kind of work, even though I think, Zach Gibson would kind of be as good of getting heat as what Ciampa did. But I'm not sure if James Drake could get the same babyface style reactions, even though he is a very good performer. We've got a question from Martin Career here. Says, what do you guys think about Orange Cassidy at the moment? Should have been one of the 4 pillars. I think he's got his role. He slides in and out of his role. Yeah, sometimes he's in the world title picture. Sometimes he's in matches with Adam Cole. Sometimes he loses. Occasionally he wins when there's a lights out stipulation. I think Cassidy's doing fine. He's just he's in and filling in when he needs to. Perhaps he could get himself a spot in that Face of the Revolution ladder match, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I love Orange Cassidy. I think he's great. I mean, when he was in that triple threat, I believe you done a review with Jonesy afterwards as well. And I asked you this question. I said, could Orange Cassidy in a few years' time now be considered as a potential to be AEW World Champion? And I would not put it past them to put the belt on that guy. I think he's got for his lack of charisma because of the character, but I think he could. It's just he's such a fan favorite.
He is certainly a fan favorite. He certainly stands out. I definitely see him becoming a TNT champion in the future. We'll have to see if he gets the full way for the world title. But like you say, there's a story. He's a young gun. He's one of these, what could be one of those pillars. He's got a long way to go in his career. So let's see where it ends up. He could be one of the top names in wrestling one day. He's certainly got something that makes him stand out, which we said already in this stream is something very, very important. Underground Temple backup is in House of Vista. CM Punk's last dog collar match was in Ring of Honor against Raven. That's some facts spit out right there, I can tell you. I'm very much looking forward to it against MJF.
I am looking forward to it, but I was a bit sort of touch and go with the fact that obviously the last one was Cody versus Brody, and I was like, I wouldn't want to have touched on that match type because of Brody's history. I think you probably could have found something else, but that was the only thing I'm worried about. But aside from that, yes, 100% would love to see it. And yeah, Underground with this reference here, ROH against Raven. Jesus, this guy must know everything.
It's got to be going back to 2002, if I'm not mistaken, Underground. Let us know if that's the case. It's something around that area. And honor is real. That's all we can say about that. And looking forward to their return with Supercard on the 1st of April. Justin Taylor says, ain't it weird, but props to WWE. People is talking about WWE. Change the world. Number 1, we've got Mickey with the Knockouts title. We've got Drake Maverick back and Cody on his way. WWE have been making some moves this year. And hey, let's give a bit of praise to them as well here with this as well. I mean, Elimination Chamber this past weekend, a time where probably with these shows in Saudi Arabia previously, you wouldn't have got any women's matches on. You got 3 on this show.
Yeah, and I mean, with the reports that come out sort of last 24 hours or so, where they're saying that basically nothing is off the card when it comes to Mania, it almost feels like Vince is loosening his reins a bit creative-wise, and he's doing all this kind of stuff. Like when Mickey come out for the Women's Rumble, man, and it even all right, it said Impact Women's Champion because obviously they weren't allowed to use knockouts and all that kind of stuff. But that's a massive step seeing another branded championship on WWE television. Something I thought I'd never see. It was one of the highlights of the Rumble. Yeah, like I said, then bringing back Drake and now Cody. It's a weird time, and like I said, this we were talking earlier about the creative and how they're doing all these teasers for Cody. It's not normal creative for WWE, so it's a really strange time. I think they're just basically trying to throw everything into Mania and to see what happens there.
Absolutely. Do you know what, though? It's a strange time, but it's an exciting one. And I like that.
Exactly.
I've not felt this excited about the product for such a long time. So I'm good that I'm feeling that impression with WWE once again. At this very moment, what run are you guys enjoying more, CM Punk or Edge? And what one thing do you guys want to see from each before retiring? This is a great question, this one. Are you enjoying CM Punk more at this point or Edge? I personally am finding it very difficult to answer that very, very quickly.
I think it's two different things. I'm appreciating Edge for Edge because we shouldn't have Edge. Edge is, like I said, he was injured and he shouldn't have essentially come back. CM Punk, he just stopped wrestling and he's come back. So yeah, I can't personally compare them. It's a really hard one to answer. CM Punk against MJF is one of the best feuds of the year, and we're in February. And it's like, it's unbelievable. And then, like I said, if we're going to get Edge versus AJ, which is like a dream match, this is an impossible answer for me. I honestly cannot answer it because there's too much stuff in between each of these characters.
Do you know what? The thing is, you make a fair point that it's almost not a fair comparison because of the situation, but because of the fact that you said that we're not supposed to get Edge and we got him back, I almost feel like that's the one I'm enjoying more. I really enjoyed this feud with Seth Rollins. I love the fact that he got to do a mixed tag team match with Beth Phoenix. Forget that it was against the Miz and Maurice, and perhaps it was going on slightly too long. I understood the philosophy and I liked it. Now we could be getting Edge versus AJ Styles, and there's probably other matches still we could get to see as well with the likes of Kevin Owens in the future. So there's certain things that I really, really want to see with Edge. So that's got to be the one at the moment. CM Punk has done some great things, but I think he's still getting into his stride. This feud with MJF, though, has been absolute top dollar. It has been top of the bill. And I do think CM Punk will definitely go on to do more great things. Edge has been back now for 2 years. CM Punk has only been back for a few months. So I think definitely that would help gauge the answer to that question as well a bit more, say, if we look back at this in another year's time from now, another year forward, when we've got more under CM Punk's belt in AEW.
Yeah. I mean, plus the Edge is obviously only wrestling 4, 5, 6 times a year, whereas obviously CM Punk is wrestling week in, week out. Unfortunately, it's a really unfair comparison for these two guys. But yeah, I can see where you come from with Edge. Like you said, we shouldn't have Edge, and the fact that we've got him and we're getting these dream matches, yeah, it's amazing.
Absolutely. Steve, Drew versus Dunn is huge rations. Vince, hold my beer. I like that, but Drew McIntyre versus Tyson Fury. Steve and SCW, damn it. Well, I'm wearing my Hangman Adam Page, which says hold my beer as well. So I've got that t-shirt on today. So it's good reference you put the hold my beer there for us. So yeah, like that. But this is what I think could definitely sell at WrestleMania. Veer Mahan versus Bad Bunny.
Oh, this guy's been coming for ages. Is he ever going to come? I really don't know.
I hate to say the idea about people being released. I think it's awful, the idea of people losing their jobs, but I really think he's going to be released before he debuts on TV.
I would not be surprised if we still don't see this guy till after Mania. I really wouldn't be.
I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see it before Christmas. Honestly, it feels like it's that long. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Unless they've got something really special lined up for him, God knows what, but this is like the longest. This is even longer than like Emelina now, I think, and stuff like that. This length of time that we've been waiting for Veer, it's ridiculous.
It's Glacier territory, but I tell you what, though, if it had come after 2 or 3 weeks onto Raw, no one would have given a care. People are going to cheer him now when he comes on. He's actually going to get over it.
Yeah, that's the worst part. You're right. Everyone's going to cheer him because he's finally. Oh no, I can't believe you just. Oh no. Yeah, great WWE booking once again. They've made me care about someone that I did not care about.
Give it 3 weeks, you'll forget him again. He'll be back on main event against T-Bar. Don't worry. Underground says here, Buddy Matthews to join AEW and House of Black. Just heard rumors of him joining alongside with Jeff Hardy and Johnny Gargano joining AEW. I mean, there is certainly potential. I think that all three will join. Certainly, definitely 2 out of them 3. Johnny Gargano is the one I would say is where I'm least certain, but I would turn around and say that I do believe all 3 will join. But there is belief as well, I read in the rumor mill, that AEW are going to hold back after the next few Sundays. They're not going to make many, many more. They want to actually make sure they get an improved TV deal, which I believe is at the start of 2024.
That's Tony Khan's meant to be making an announcement this week, apparently, that they reckon could be something to do with the TV deal. But Buddy Matthews, I will follow to the world's end. I love that guy. He's like up there for me as one of my favorite wrestlers. Watching him have feuds with Cedric Alexander, Mustafa Ali, just unreal wrestler. I 100% love Buddy Matthews. I think he's unreal. As for Jeff and Johnny, same as you. Johnny is a really 50-50 one. He's so loved in WWE, and obviously his wife's still there. And Jeff, Jeff's 100% going to AEW.
Absolutely. No, I agree that you'd definitely be with Matt Hardy in the certain time once he's kicked out of the HFO. Just to say, we're going to answer all the questions that's left now. So ask not to put any more questions in because we're already an hour and a half in the stream. Want to make sure we get everyone's questions in. Otherwise, some people will get left out. And I think that would be unfair because our time in the morning, NXT starts in half an hour. And I mean, obviously, poor Steve. I don't know if he's going to be watching it live or not, but I'm also keeping him up probably very, very late as well. So I didn't want to do that to him. But Chris Paul says here, what matches you want to see in AEW Revolution, in your opinion, and also what surprises do you want to see? Well, I mean, we've got a number of them, but I tell you what, one I definitely would like to know your thoughts of. Who will Jurassic Express be taking on in this three-way tag team match? Is it going to be the Young Bucks and Red Dragon? Who is going to win that battle royal for you tomorrow?
I don't actually know who's in it, so I couldn't actually give you my honest opinion at the minute. But I was, so Bear Country then, because I love Bear Country. I think they're a solid tag team. But I'm not being funny. This is a stacked pay-per-view. Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa, Adam Page, Adam Cole, Punk, MJF, Jurassic Express. This has got to be. If not, it's good. I would have said Penta and Phoenix, but Phoenix is still injured otherwise. But yeah, it's probably going to be the Bucks and who's the other team you said?
Red Dragon.
Red Dragon. I'm telling you that Revolution is going to be one hell of a pay-per-view. That is looking at to be one of the pay-per-views of the year with that lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And obviously, we said there with the matches already been lined up there. I mean, honestly, whatever Ada wants to give us. And I don't know if we mentioned Moxley and Danielson, but obviously, Mox is saying we wouldn't join anyone that he wouldn't bleed with first. So, I mean, that's another mega match that we could be getting for this card here. So much to look forward to. Chris, honestly, this is going to be an amazing, amazing show. We can't wait for it. Punjabi Prison is the worst gimmick match, according to Underground. And do you know what? It really is a weird gimmick match, isn't it? It's a fascinating match to watch. But it's never as exciting as it looks.
I could never understand why you have to climb over it when most of the wrestlers can just fit through it. That was my whole problem with that gimmick. It was Randy Orton, he could fit literally through every single one, but no, they're making him climb over every single fence. It was weird.
Absolutely. A couple of fantasy booking suggestions here. We'll just go if we think we like them or not very quickly. We've got Cesaro and NXT 2.0 against Walter. Even Swervis with joining Imperium. Could be interesting indeed.
100%. It's a feud that we need to see.
I think that would be cool, and KXI thinks the same as well. Also, Underground saying, yes, Ricochet, heel like he did in Lucha Underground. Lucha Underground is so amazing. That would be very, very fun to see. And also, KXI saying maybe send the Usos to help Solo Sikoa against the Imperium. That'd be an interesting idea as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Solo's going to be a massive star. He's the next Roman, I reckon. Like he's got such a backing already, and he's such a good wrestler as well.
He really, really is absolutely phenomenal talent, and I can't wait to see where it's going to go for him in WWE and NXT. I wish WWE would send Dexter Lumis on Raw, but have Riddle cut a promo with Randy Orton, but then Riddle says, "What's up, Lumis?" And Lumis gets a thumb, will be hilarious. But Lumis versus Damian Priest would be good. I mean, Dexter Lumis, would you like to see him on Raw or SmackDown in the near future? What's your thoughts on Lumis at the moment? It seems to have gone a bit quiet in NXT.
I love Dexter Lumis. I think his character is great, and the one place I really don't want to see him is on the main roster because for me, the first thing Vince would get him to do is talk, and I think it just takes away his aura about him. I don't think, just once it'd be nice to have a strange gimmick like someone who just never talks. And unfortunately, yeah, Vince would be the first. He'd be the first thing he does. But yeah, I really love Dexter Lumis and his stuff he was doing with Cameron Grimes a couple of years ago. Even the whole Indy Hartwell story. I know it dragged on a bit, but it was still really entertaining. But for me, yeah, avoid main roster altogether with him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I have the belief he'll be booked that strongly up there, but I do think he's gone quite quiet recently as well. It'll be interesting to see where they're going to go with him in NXT in the upcoming weeks and months. It's certainly a talent I think that has got a lot of potential. That's definitely one I would say. But Martin Career says, I would love for Brock winning with what Steve said, but wouldn't it waste someone's career breaking moment to whoever can get it done? I'm guessing that's with beating the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. I mean, yeah, I would agree with that at this point. I think someone that's really could get over with beating Roman Reigns, and I don't think Brock needs it. But obviously, WWE will do what WWE will do, I guess, when it comes to the situation.
The thing is, as well, though, is that people have beaten Brock before. Drew McIntyre's beaten him. Roman Reigns has just been on this I think what he's lost one match, which was a tag team match. I think he lost. He's just been on this unbeaten run, and I think having Brock win it and then Brock dropping the title is a more plausible reason than waiting for that special one person to beat Roman Reigns. It's I tell you what, that person has got to be something special to beat Roman.
They really, really do. And it feels like it could be a long time whoever will take the title off him if he does go away with all the gold. We've got here Underground saying Cody isn't coming back to WWE. I honestly think it's all a swerve. He's heel turn. He's not contracted to AEW, but he goes on to win the AEW World title as he's not contracted. I personally would love to see the idea of a work, but from hearing from people that have got inside sources, they seem to think that this move is nailed on. I guess I can only ask you, Steve, do you think that Cody will go to WWE, or do you think that this could be work? And if it is a work, would it be fun?
Like I said, with the booking from Monday and there's so many references to Cody, and it's a very un-WWE thing to do, makes me think that he is coming back to WWE. I wouldn't see a reason for WWE to make references to a released wrestler if he's not coming, if he's just going to go back to AEW, because all they're doing is building hype about someone that isn't going to be on their product. It wouldn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Fair play. I understand that. And I totally agree with that. KXI also says, no offense to John Morrison, but he has some of the worst names outside of WWE, Johnny Impact and Johnny Superstar. We have to agree that could be the comment of the night, though. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, Johnny Mundo, Johnny, even when he was Johnny Nitro, or what was he when he was? It was Johnny Nitro and Eminem, wasn't it?
He was Johnny Nitro, indeed. Yeah, honestly,
terrible names.
You never know; he might come back
Just
one day.
Just call him Johnny. I don't even know why he needs a surname.
Feels like a WWE move if he comes back next time. Just call him Johnny. You know, we've got rid of all these other names for these other superstars. Johnny will do. We've got our next comment in from Supersonic X. I would like to see Oscar come back after Mania because a Battle Royal was pretty much a waste of a return, and fans are pretty much don't want to see Oscar coming back in a Battle Royale. Well, I mean, to be honest, really, I think she should come back in a more meaningful role. That's my personal opinion on it. I would agree. But if she was to come back for Mania, I do feel like that's the only spot for her at this point. But where do you stand on this? I mean, obviously, we said the idea about a Rhea Ripley match earlier on would be quite fun to see. But say that match doesn't happen and it's Battle Royal or after WrestleMania, which one would you prefer?
The Battle Royal actually makes more. I think because obviously with the Battle Royals at Mania, they tend to have like 90% of the competitors just walk down. And obviously, if you have Asuka come out to her music, I think it would just be a massive crowd booster. Like it'll get them cheering and stuff like that to have someone like Asuka come out and have her music playing. Yeah,
I mean, it could be interesting, especially the thing is as well, she wins it as well. That puts her some good momentum. But also, I mean, say she came second, which I'm sure I know Supersonic would say, but then that's definitely a waste. But we'll definitely put a talent over. Say it was like a Liv Morgan that was to win. If they could eliminate Oscar towards the end, that would definitely help their rise to the top, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So definitely could be some bonuses for it either way. But I certainly can see Supersonic's point and why After Mania might be the right place for it. But Randy Sam here says, do you like Akira being a comedy act? And will you like to see him on SmackDown join forces with Nakamura and form a Japan stable and call up Boa? I mean, Akira Tozawa, I think he's always going to be on Raw now at this point in the 24/7 stuff. Personally, I don't see him doing any forces with Nakamura. And I think Nakamura should never go down to 24/7 championship picture, really, in my personal opinion. But I did find it's kind of funny on Raw with him in Tamina's arms, and then she dropped him. I do think it could have been done a bit quicker and a bit more sharper, but certainly was fun nonetheless.
Tozawa's just he's in his perfect spot in a minute. I mean, he's not the biggest guy, so you'll never. I say it 99.99% chance you'll probably never see him win the world championship. The 24/7 thing just seems to be his thing. Now he's running around dressed as a ninja at the minute, so I very much doubt you're going to see anything else from him. As part of a faction, I think Nakamura's too high a name for Akira Tozawa and Boa. Like Boa is doing God knows what in NXT now, with Mei Ling now turned into someone who sleeps around the place. He just seems to be lost in the shuffle. Yeah, Wendy Chu's great. I think the character is fantastic, but I just think Boa's just been sort of left in the background now, doing nothing, and he's trying to carry on essentially what that faction was before, especially with I can't remember the female wrestler that's now on SmackDown. Apologies. Yeah, but yeah, so he's just been left behind, and so they're not too high-profile names to stick with someone like the likes of Shinsuke Nakamura.
No, absolutely. Zia Lee was the one you're thinking of there. It took me a second to remember it as well there. But Boa, I've lost real interest in that gimmick. It makes no sense to me. Drop it. Just get him a onesie. Make him join Wendy Chu. I'd be well up for that because I'm loving that act. I just am. You know, I think it's quite fun. Current was saying we had a wrestling come back and return at Stardom this week. Also, Marty Scurll wrestling back in Poland. It's probably why I didn't hear about Marty Scurll's return. But
Marty Scurll actually returned a couple of months ago. He was wrestling in South America because I won't lie, from a character-wise, love Marty Scurll. I think he's his character-wise in wrestling is great. I would love nothing more for them to come back and do wrestling again. Like, he should have essentially been one of the first in AEW when it started. I just hope he can turn his career around and get back on track. Kyrie's saying, it made sense for her. Now she's back in Stardom. She's back over in Japan. So all the best to both of them.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, the thing is, with Marty, obviously, with the stuff that's meant to have happened, it's hard to make a comeback from all of that. But with Kyrie saying, obviously, good to see that she's back in Stardom, and like I say, I wish people the best, can't you? Also, Cody, Rhodes, Ziggler, Miz, the Four Horsemen in WWE. Interesting shout.
I really wish they had kept Bobby Roode as Bobby Roode when he come up from NXT and just had him instead of using him as a gimmick for his music. That's when he debuted and he was smiling. It was like, Bobby Roode never smiled on NXT. Why are you doing this to me? Give me my old Bobby Roode back. Yeah,
absolutely. That would be glorious if they were to do that. If JYV did get called up, put them in with Finn and turn Finn heel, solid, stable right there. That'd be interesting, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved the idea of a British faction. Don't get me started on that League of Nations rubbish, whatever that was. But yeah, I love the idea of who was the Impact faction that was all the British guys, or the TNA faction?
British Invasion.
Yeah, that's something that I used to love. Williams. That. Yeah, and Rob, I can't remember the guy's name. Rob Terry. There you go. Yeah, they used to be a great faction on TNA back in the days. So a British faction. I just think because Americans love nothing more than an arrogant British wrestler, a William Regal that they can just boo the house down to. And so you put Finn, you give them heel Finn with James Drake and Zach Gibson, it'd be fantastic.
That's why I'd love JYV on Raw or SmackDown. Shoes off if you hate Gibson, just to see that in an actual Raw or SmackDown thing would be hilarious to watch. We've got Randy Samuelson's Randy and Cody and Charlotte and Grizzled Young Veterans as Dynasty. MLW, you took my name, copyright. SCW, WWE is stealing AEW ideas with the Pinnacle. Well, I don't know if there was Dynasty in. I must admit, MLW is one company that I don't really keep up with. I know they're doing some great stuff, but I have to draw the line somewhere. Unfortunately, I don't even have enough time to sleep with them out wrestling these days. But do you watch any MLW?
I did. I used to watch some of it because I really like Jacob Fatu. I think he's a great wrestler. He's been their champion however many times, and I think he's solid and would love to see him on a bigger stage capacity, whether it be somewhere like AEW. As I think he's great.
Absolutely, indeed. There. Sam McKay here says, "Sup, Steve? If you guys were a tag team, what would be your entrance and name, and what promotion would you join?" Well, I think this is NXT. We'd have to go to NXT, wouldn't we?
Yeah, but if we're a tag team, we need to go to a brand that has to be tag team focused, and it's AEW all the way because they're just the only show that has tag team wrestling on it. Really.
There we go. There we go. We're gonna be in charge of Rampage and Dynamite. What theme song should we have?
I've always been particular to Fuel by Metallica myself.
Oh, that's a good one. That's good. Do you know what? The Metallica ones as well. I like Enter Saint Anger. I think that'd be quite a fun one to come down to.
Yeah.
I believe that was actually the SummerSlam 2003 theme song, actually back in the day as well. So there you go. That's first off. What's our name?
That's a throwback.
What is our name?
Well,
Steve and Steve.
Two Steves, isn't it? Yeah, two
exactly.
Steves. That's all you need. Yeah,
that's all you need. Do you know what I mean? And that's your catchphrase as well. That's all you need. It's the two Steves. There you go. Perfectly set up for you there. And MJF's SCW. I'm better than you, and you know it. There you go. We do try. We've also got the double S connection as an idea here from Underground Backup. I think that's a fun idea as well. I'd like these tag team suggestions. Thanks, everyone. This is quite fun. Maybe we will go for the tag. Maybe we'll enter the Battle Royal tomorrow. We'll win. You'll find us on Dynamite, and somehow we'll be on Revolution. Probably end up being on the pre-show. That match will be eliminated too in the end.
Yeah, this is actually a pre-recorded message. We're already on our way there.
Absolutely, yeah. Orlando, we're coming. Randy Sam says, last question. We've got quite a few more still to go. They're still flooding in. We'll have to ask no more questions to come in. The maximum we're doing now is like 15 minutes more, and then we will come off the stream. How would you book the House of Black versus Penta and Pac tomorrow? Do you see Penta turning heel and joining House of Black? Thanks, guys. Good show. Well, thank you, Randy Sam, for all your questions. I personally think if anyone's going to turn heel, it would be Pac, personally.
Yeah, Pac's the only one that makes sense. I'd like to see Penta join, but yeah, I just think that Penta and Ray, I think they could end up teaming up with someone like Eddie Kingston if Pac leaves and goes to the House of Black. I'd like to see. I want to see Malachi Black, and I want to see Pac, and I want to see him do bigger and better things. And it's just like, the AEW roster is so stacked, man. It's so massive. It's unreal.
It really, really is there. I totally agree with that. And yeah, AEW, there's flooded with tag teams, absolutely flooded. Jones, let's get his other question in. Obviously, this came in from the very, very start. We didn't get a chance to get it on earlier on, but is WWE screwed if Peacock goes under? Couldn't they return to pay-per-view or convince fans to pay $10 a month again directly to them? Personally, for me, I mean, I don't think Peacock is any under fear of going under, if I'm not mistaken. I've not seen anything that would suggest otherwise. But what I would say is that I think that they'd just go back to the network. I don't think they could go back to $50 pay-per-views again. Do you?
Yeah, I'm not being funny. They'll just go back to the network until someone else is willing to pay for their subscription service. I mean, I always thought it was mad that you were paying what is it? It was like $10 a month or however much it was in the States, and now you've gone to paying $5 a month for the WWE Network. It was just complete madness. As I said, I think that's a fault on Peacock's part there, because people were willing to pay that much money for the WWE Network to start with.
Yeah, absolutely, indeed. There, absolutely. Also, make a heel and babyface stable out of the WWE rosters. Who would use and how would they debut and why? I think here we've already suggested on a couple of ideas there. Obviously, the Cody idea would be the heel stable that I would make personally, but a babyface stable is quite interesting in WWE right now. What to make out of the babyfaces? I mean, for me personally, I like the idea. And, you know, a different idea, actually, to give a different answer, a heel stable. I suggested this idea earlier. We mentioned League of Legends as well. Sheamus, Ridge Holland, Pete Dunne, and Cesaro would be a fun League of Nations style stable that I personally wouldn't mind seeing. Baby faces, I would need to think for 1 or 2 minutes, so I shall pass it over to NXSteve for his answer.
Yeah, I mean, that's essentially what we were talking about a little while ago, like a British/European faction would be really, really good. As for a face faction, it's really hard because there's a lot of faces that you really can't put together because of sorry, I'm looking at something else. Yeah, there's not a lot of faces on there that you could make a faction out of, to be fair. I mean, there's just so many heels on both shows. It's just unreal. I don't know. Let me try to turn Mustafa Ali face, put him with Ricochet and Jinder Mahal. Make Jinder Mahal the big guy, and have Ali and Ricochet as a tag team. There you go. That's probably the best I can make out of looking at the roster.
That's a SmackDown stable set for you right there. For me, I think looking at it, it's still very difficult to do, but I think Ricochet is definitely an interesting one there that you could do that with. I personally would look and say, looking at that roster on SmackDown right now, it really is a struggle. It's a really difficult question, this one. I've had a bit of time to think about it as well. I would quite like to see.
There's so many
heels everywhere.
heels.
There's so many
heels.
So many heels. I think, do you know what? We have to look and say, let's go to NXT 2.0, and maybe we could just make a babyface stable out of that lot. Maybe take like a Bron Breakker, and maybe Tommaso Ciampa, and maybe someone else that they could just be on side with. Maybe Pete Dunne as well, and that could be someone that could just come and take over on the main roster and just do a splash and sort of try and take down the bloodline. Maybe that's the way that I'd bring them in.
I felt maybe because there's three guys on here I can see that you could probably stick as a faction and have them as essentially an opposite to the Hurt Business, which is Malik Blade, Odyssey Jones, and whoever his tag team partner was. I forget now. I can't find him on the. They're together in the Dusty Classic, aren't they? Yeah. Make essentially an opposite to whatever the Hurt Business is. So you have Odyssey Jones as your Bobby Lashley, and then you have Malik Blade and the other guy as your essential Shelton Benjamin, Cedric Alexander.
There you go, Joe. So we've done you some justice there, my man. Chances are we've done the best of what we can with the roster off the top of our heads at 10-1 in the morning. Honor No More versus TNA give you Immortal vibes where Eddie is like the Jeff or Austin in WWE, and Scott D'Amore needs to call Josh for help, just like Vince did with The Rock. Certainly, it does give those vibes, doesn't it, from Eddie Edwards with that heel turn.
Yeah. So I said I had flashbacks to 2001 Invasion, man. I say it's always a fun, interesting story when you have these these other brands coming in trying to take over your show, essentially, and then you get the heel turn from the one everyone thought was Impact for Life, essentially. Yes, it's always a really fun story to watch.
It really, really is indeed. The Samuel K says that if WWE were to book it right, MSK could be this generation's Hardy Boys. No comparison, no, but you get my opinion. MSK versus the Usos at Mania. Book it. Personally, I agree. I think MSK have got all the tools to be one of the top babyface tag teams out there right now, and they could be this generation's Hardy Boys. Definitely enjoyed them as the Rascals. Loving their work as MSK. Was surprised, actually. I know a lot of people went for the Creed Brothers. I really thought MSK were going to be the first team to go back to back in the Dusty Cup. I'm really a big fan of what they do.
Yeah, I like for the amount of stick that they were getting when they was on NXT initially. I don't know, there was something about the crowd or something. There was a certain section of the crowd that would boom constantly, and when I used to do the NXT reviews on Jonesy's channel, it always baffled me as to why MSK were getting booed, because they're really good wrestlers, they're really entertaining. But yeah, like I said, they're fantastic wrestlers. I remember I caught them just towards the end of their run as the Rascals in Impact, and man, loved their stuff as well. It's a shame that they couldn't get all three to come over, but yeah, like I said, they're a great solid tag team.
They are indeed there. One man that needs no introduction is the one only Mr. Tom Collique, doing fantastic things on his channel right now. He's racing up. Give him a subscribe on his channel if you get an opportunity. He's getting towards that 1,000. That's all he needs now. 1,000 subscribers. He hits monetization. It says, evening, sirs. Given that the Raw Women's division is seemingly firing on all cylinders, meanwhile, SmackDown's is struggling. What changes would you make to balance that out? Fantastic question there. Steve, have you got some options of what you do to fix SmackDown's women's division right now?
Well, I think with the SmackDown roster, they need to have a bigger female roster. They need to start using some of the talent on there that isn't on there every week. I mean, you've had Aaliyah come up who's not doing anything. Xia Lee's starting to play hero for some reason, but she's very rarely used. Like the SmackDown side of it just seems to be purely focused around Charlotte, Naomi, Sonya, and now Ronda. If you say the SmackDown side, just use more of the female talent. They don't have a big female talent on that side. From what I'm looking at, I can see 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 wrestlers. They got Sasha Banks, Shayna Baszler, but Shayna Baszler's not doing anything. Yeah, they just need to start using that female talent more on that side of it.
Yeah, need to find a way to use the roster. Like you say, Shayna Baszler's not doing enough at the moment on there, really. Perhaps have a few with her and Ronda could be interesting after Mania if they want to go down that avenue. Plus, as well, women's come back as well. Let's not forget people like Lacey Evans, Bayley, Oscar, all could be very well used and would be thriving on that division. It would definitely make it a lot more competitive if you want. And some great matches for the likes of Charlotte and Ronda coming out of WrestleMania as well. So that's probably where I would look to go for it. Perhaps as well, an NXT call-up after Mania could also be a shout. I mentioned Raquel Gonzalez is one to look out for as well. So that's definitely something that would give a lot of strength and depth to that SmackDown women's division. And as Steve ultimately said there, give time to that women's division. Give them more time, more matches.
Yeah, I mean, Raquel's a great shout because she's say if you sort of mirror the two brands Raw and SmackDown, Raquel I feel could be your Rhea Ripley on the SmackDown side of it, like the tall dominating female. I think it'd be a great shout for SmackDown.
Certainly would indeed. We're going to go now to the last few minutes of the stream. If we don't get through all the questions, we are very, very sorry. But NXT is starting very, very soon. And I think I've kept Steve on it long. So I'm very, very sorry about that. But I'm thankful for everyone that is watching. Luke Bridge, I believe, is the first time asker here. Do you think Sasha Banks is... Who do you think is Sasha Banks facing for Mania? Teasing a door sign. Who do you want to see her face? Sasha versus Mika from NXT UK. WWE got mentioned her history. That would be a fun match to see. Personally, for me, I'd like to see her against Lita, but that's just a personal preference.
Yeah, I mean, maybe bring back one of these legends that isn't doing it. Like we say, Lita comes back and she does something. I mean, if you wanted to, you could throw Bayley in there, bring Bayley back against Sasha. They always, again, those two can have side matches. But yeah, this is the same problem. We're not seeing enough of this SmackDown women's roster to justify them doing anything at Mania. For how big Sasha is, it's a shame that she doesn't currently have anything going into Mania.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Hopefully they'll give her something in the next coming weeks. But I do know that Tom gave an update on his channel, which I'm not going to give away. I'm going to give the opportunity for people to go and check out his channel of what could be the plans in place that he revealed from his sources. Could be the plan for Sasha Banks going forward. But they were not 100% set in stone, but potentially could be a direction. We've got here CM Punk versus Eddie Kingston was an underrated feud in AEW. I enjoyed their work in the short time that they were together. Did you as well?
Yeah, Eddie Kingston, I remember his days in Impact when he was part of LAX. Great storyline stuff coming out from there. And yeah, it's a shame that like Eddie seems to get himself into all these great feuds and we only ever get sort of one match from him. We don't get a follow-up or a second or a third match out of him, which is a real shame because he's such a great character.
He really, really is indeed here. Rick Mike in house says, who do you want to see in the Mae Young Battle Royal, Andre the Giant Battle Royal, and who wins? Thanks, guys, in your opinion. Sum this up very quickly. Whoever isn't in a match in WrestleMania for the men or women's, I want them in the Battle Royale. But if you're going to go with people to win, I think up-and-coming rising stars would be the best shout for it. So I would go with someone like a Liv Morgan, perhaps someone like a Ridge Holland could be interesting.
As a joke, I was going to say Veer as the winner for the men's one, but you're probably going to get someone like Omos win it. Women's side, like I said, Shayna Baszler, I think, because I think that do Shayna the world of good to get her doing something more interesting as well, rather than nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what? I'm going to change that to Omos and I'm going to stick with Liv Morgan in case they don't have a match. But yeah, whoever's not in matches will be in those Battle Royals. That's who I think will be in there. Jess Samuel says Vince needs to get Wendy Chu on Raw and she's sleeping backstage and Vince trolls AEW, make Wendy the WWE Orange Cassidy and that doesn't break character. Definitely should do that. I think that would be a lot of fun. I think Wendy Chu has definitely got a lot of potential.
Yeah, 100%. Her in ring as a half asleep person is wonderful stuff to watch.
Certainly is indeed. KXI, just call up MSK and put them with Riddle. Certainly the Shaman, maybe they could do that when they break up RK Bro.
Yeah, hopefully.
Fingers crossed. Jeff Samuel also saying here that we could potentially get Darby Allin versus Andrade Revolution. Yeah, I think that would be, it's a potential they could do that. I mean, there's Hardy and Andrade versus Sting and Darby Allin also. I think the singles match is more likely.
I thought they were going to do Andrade versus Sammy for the TNT title.
Oh, interesting.
That's just the impression I got from the interactions off AEW in the last week that obviously Andrade picked up them two TNT championships. So I thought that'd be the feud going into Revolution is those two.
Interesting stuff indeed there. I like the idea. Certainly is a potential here. And going down to our last couple now because NXT is about to start. So we're just going to go do these last couple now. How would you book SmackDown having Natalya face Ronda? Because Sonya and have Charlotte distract Ronda, where Nat can pick up the victory because of Sonya, and all three women jump Ronda to make Ronda mad. So we get, I believe, then Ronda two surprises versus Charlotte, Shayna, and Natalya next week, and that's how I would book it, like Rampage, but like SmackDown. Do you think that fantasy booking idea could work actually to get some heat there going into WrestleMania?
Yeah, and then like we've been saying the last couple of minutes, just get more of the female talent on there. Get Shotzi doing something. I know Shotzi's a heel, but Xia Li or put Naomi back in there again. Just get the women doing something, because that's the only problem with SmackDown is it's such a short show, they can't get everyone on it.
Absolutely. And Underground here says, call up Santos Escobar to set SmackDown and Mendoza and Wild to join Garza and Humberto as an LWO Latino World Order as a faction, and add Dominic Mysterio to that faction when Rey retires. Absolutely love it. Think that is awesome stuff idea. Indeed. And what indeed there. And that's where we're going to end our stream off there. So thanks to everyone that's been watching. Like I say, if you can please hit the like button on this video, leave a comment as well as when the video goes off. It really helps the algorithms, really helps the channel. Thanks to everyone that has been involved on this. And Steve, I have to say thank you for being on this. And my goodness, have we gone on tonight?
Yeah, thank you for having me, man. I've really enjoyed tonight.
I've really enjoyed it as well. I apologize that it's been so long, but I hope that you've continued to have fun, and hopefully we can do this again sometime soon.
Yeah, no problems, man. 100%.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Have yourselves a good one. Please like, share, and subscribe. Check out another video on SCW as well. There's plenty on there that have been released in the last couple of days, so you can go and check those out. Enjoy NXT if you're about to go and watch it. And I'll tell you what, just to say it right now, I'm going to come back for a solo effort, another live Q&A on Thursday. So that's right. You can come and see me once again in 2 days' time. All the best. Take care. Enjoy yourselves. Have a good one. We'll see you next time here on SCW. Take care.